For everyone in attendance, I deeply apologize for my tardiness. I know some of you are used to it, but it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. There's a small story behind what happened today, though, but I'm not going to bore you with it. We're going to start the show. I am sending the link out right now as we speak, but I do deeply apologize for the tardiness. I said this was going to stop happening, but it happened. And I do definitely apologize. But we're about to get this thing started. I'd like to thank everybody for coming on in. I see a few people are already in the building. Make sure you hit that like button as we get going. As we get started, make sure you hit that like button and let's go.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show today. So we got 53 people in the building. 53 people in the building. Let me get rid of that. Let me bring up Ike sitting there laughing. How much do you hate me right now, Ike? How much are you just shaking my head? These goddamn
It's all good. Can you hear me? Can you hear me
black
okay?
people. Oh dang. We're trying to keep it clean today. I know you I know you just about had it with the tardiness because I know you're a timely guy. And there's a story. There's a story behind this one. There's a story behind this one. Not a
There
good
always
story.
is. But
Not
can
an
you hear me though?
Hold on, wait, hold on. I don't even got my earpiece in. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Gotta get my earpiece in so I can hear. I made the very goofy and rookie mistake of essentially waking up too early. Like I woke up super early at like 5 o'clock. First off, say something. Let me see if I can hear you.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh yeah, I hear you. Hear you perfect. Okay, yeah. So I woke up at. Oh, look at Ike with some sound effects. I got you. No, yeah, I woke up at like 5 o'clock and was just up for no reason. We're up at 5 a.m. Um, finished watching Mortal Kombat with but I watched that. It was up from like I think from like 5 to 9 ish or something like that, and ended up going back to sleep somehow. Just dozed right back off. But I was like, I'm up. No need to set a clock. No need to. I'm up already. And then yeah, I just closed my eyes and blinked and like, oh shit, it's 10 o'clock. That happened. That happened.
Yep,
So
yep,
I
yep.
apologize. I apologize. But to everybody who's made it in the building already, I like to shout out all of you guys. I dropped the first comment right there. Calvin Rogers in the building came with the second comment. Says good morning to the chat room and salute, peace, and blessings to you, Bernard Riley. You spelled it like O'Reilly. You spelled it Irish, but that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And salute, sincere cracking up, grand rising. Brother, salute to you, Queen Q in the building. He says, I'm here early. I'm here late, though. I'm here late. Um, shout out to everybody in the building and getting us started bright and early, getting us off to a good start. We got the one and only the $5 super chat champion of the world, Snuggles in the building.
Hi, I'm Snuggles.
All right, I love that every time I do it. Snuggles in here. She says CP time in full effect. I now understand what people talk about when they talk about it instead of people being on time. If I understand Snuggles correctly, Snuggles is black, but I don't know from where. I do understand that. And according to Ike, is CP time all across the world. Actually, we talked
Hmm.
about that in one of our first one-on-ones. He talked about how Africans look at time, and I think you said three different blocks, like morning, um, afternoon, or then or then day. I'll let you go ahead and explain that.
Oh no, just there are places whereby, and it tends to be the case that the more northern you are, and this you can even notice this in, let's say, Europe, let's say Southern Europe, certain tropical, lush, not a lot of variations in seasons, not a lot of reasons for you to be very careful with planning your time. Let's say, for example, you live in northern Germany somewhere, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't keep time, if you don't understand the seasons, if you don't prepare and be very meticulous about time, you're gonna mess up. Things are gonna go wrong for you. And
Mm-hmm.
this is all time in terms of the seasons and even the day. It varies greatly. Your summer days are very different from your winter days, right? But if you're in the equator somewhere and you're living in, in the tropical rainforest somewhere in Nigeria or something, and the year is more or less uniform in terms of temperature, in terms of time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's always fruits to pick and so on and so forth. And you don't have to worry about freezing. Then you don't have to really demarcate time in terms very specifically. So it's just okay when the sun comes up and when it's all the way overhead, and then when it starts going down. Yeah, and then it's like, okay, well, meet me at 2 o'clock. Well, that may be 2 o'clock. It may be 3:30. It's all the same kind of thing. It's around that time after the sun starts going down. So it does, yes, CP time does exist in Africa as well.
Yeah, and you're the first person that explained how it could be defective. I always talk about certain things being hardwired into us through evolution, and it's funny I mentioned that because I will be debating um, Supreme King Coon SKC on the subject is macroevolution scientific, as
Mhm.
brother Xavier says it right there. And yeah, what you were essentially saying is that our people would have evolved in a place where keeping up with time was in life or death. So,
Yeah, I mean, you could look at, let's say, an Italian versus a German, and in the whole lifestyle, even Things are a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more loose when things are kind of uniform, tropical. Green. There's fruit around. You can chill. You can be a bum, right? Can't
Yeah,
do that in the middle of the tundra, the cold. No, you got to
yeah,
be on point.
yeah, yeah. No, totally. Yeah, totally understand that. And really, you're not the first person to point that out. That the difference in how Africans. I mean, well, you said I forgot where you said. I think you said northern, but however you worded it, I know most people just look at it. They segment it off by just looking at Africa, but there's other places where the same concept applies, depending on the climate and just how things were in that area. But yeah, it's definitely a thing, and they talk about that when they get far in the weeds talking about racial differences. They look at things like that, but that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story that I'm not trying to get too deep into. But shout out to the Prophet of Thought, the good brother Xavier of the Prophet of Thought series with the $5 super chat. Definitely appreciate that, and I'll definitely be over there. And man, it's creeping up on me fast.
Oh,
I
wow,
got
it's actually gonna be like a debate on TPOT. Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought I thought you guys. Wow, this is gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, no. It's we've Yeah, he does really good debates over there. He does.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've listened to some of the
Yeah, yeah,
debates.
yeah, yeah. I've listened
Yeah,
to some of his
yeah.
debate.
So
Yes.
me and SKC, we're having an actual debate. So
Wow.
yeah, it should be fun. Should be fun. Shout out to brother Xavier, but yeah, no, it's gonna be fun. I need to do some preparation now that I think about it, because it's coming up. It's coming up. I got to do some preparation. But yeah, to get it into the topic today. We got sort of like two topics going. One of them is piggybacking off of what happened the last time that not the last time that me and you did a collaboration together, but when you took the link, and you don't do that often, so I definitely love when you do it, when you just randomly just took the link to my show and came up and said something randomly on the panel. There was somebody who I affectionately defined as just a high value hater. um I don't know, you probably could describe him in some other way, but that's just what I was saying. Okay, he's one of those high value haters. Well, what about this, and what about the construction worker with great character and a heart of gold? And keep in mind, I think that guy is great. That's the type of guy that I, in many ways, advocate for. The blue collar worker, the guy who gets up and does the hard work that keeps the country running. That was me. That was me. But I was doing that kind of blue collar work for a lot of my life, and so that I value that guy. That guy, I put a lot of value on that guy. But I understand what Kevin Samuels is talking about when Kevin Samuels is talking about high value and a high value man. I understand what he's talking about. Understand the context of what he's talking about. I understand the 6-point criteria that he laid out. And I understand that no, I don't fall into the category of that of those all six of those points. No, I don't. And it's okay. It's not a big deal. So I don't have to look at the qualities that I do have and say, wait a minute, but that's high value. Can I be high value too? It's like that's I don't understand why guys are doing that. And then it just turns into a whole thing where they're hating on the concept of high value just because they feel like they're either not in the club or want to be in the club, or they don't want these attributes or things or criterias that they currently don't have to be the thing that people look up to, like, aha, look at that, that's awesome, that's amazing. Like, they look at this amazing guy. They don't want their self to be left out of that, so they want to argue and fight against it. So I just said I called it a high value hater, and maybe we could start from there, and you could put a finer point on that. But as you speak on that, I am going to.
Hmm.
I can hear you. I'm gonna be able to hear you, but I do gotta step away for one quick second. So
Yeah. Okay.
So go
Sure.
ahead and speak. I'll be able to hear you everything you're saying. All
Excellent.
right.
So I'm going to start by just making a slight. Okay, so let's kind of decouple something here, and it's a tangent. It's not that important per se, but when Bernard Riley, that is, mentioned the whole blue collar thing, right? I think that that's a typical error that people make. They start talking when people talk about money. High value man, Kevin Samuels, for example, has 6 criteria. Make a certain amount of money, varies from place to place. Okay, let's say $120,000 for just base level Atlanta, Dallas, that kind of a thing. Make it for a certain period of time, have a network of other high value people, be valuable and useful to the group, and so on and so forth. People immediately start talking about the juxtaposition with the blue collar guy. And I just wanted to say, like, look, like blue collar people are able to start their businesses quicker, right? As a blue collar person, you can get that certification quickly. You can then get that job, become a journeyman relatively quicker. Then I can go and get my master's degree in engineering and then blah, blah, blah. And then now start my engineering company and do all those other kinds of things. Further, as an engineer, right, besides the fact that a lot of blue collar people get into 6 figures a lot quicker than so-called white collar people. Furthermore, as an engineer myself, one of the things I really enjoy about what I do is the people at the construction site. When I go to the construction site, the realness of it all, the fact that this is reality. It's not something you can BS about. It's not something you can sit in a boardroom, move some numbers around about. It's not something that you can tell people lies about, well, we're having this much growth or that much blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, the wall is either completed and up to code and passed the inspections today, or it was not, okay? The HVAC on top of the high-rise building was either installed correctly with the right springs and all that kind of stuff, or it was not. And there is a certain kind of freedom, quote unquote, also lack of political correctness, right? And just, shall I say, reality that goes along with these particular types of people. Without the blue collar person, nothing that I do on paper or so on and so forth makes any sense, doesn't work. And as an engineer, every engineer knows that growth and expansion and becoming a better engineer tends to be moving more and more towards technical know-how, knowing the nuts and bolts of your craft, if you will, rather than just the theoretical knowledge. So I just wanted to kind of make that demarcation because people always want to throw in as though, blue collar people were somehow separate from the group, but it's like most blue collar people can start making that kind of money sooner, and also they can start their businesses quicker. Okay,
Right.
just wanted
And
to say
Kevin
that.
and Kevin Samuels have made that point very clear, very clear. Yeah, I was speaking to the blue collar guy who's not advancing or doing that, or just the non blue collar guy
Exactly.
who's just going to work, working hard. He's making 75K in most places in this country. You can take care of a family on that. And I'm sure that guy is valuable to his family. I'm sure he's valuable to his kids. But it is worth pointing out that that's not necessarily what Kevin Samuels is talking about. But that guy still does hold a lot of value. That's the point that I was pointing out. But it's no need to try to put him in some separate category or the same category. But I definitely understand what you're saying. But I'll let you go ahead and put a finer point on that. But I just wanted to point out that I was more so talking about the guys who don't, for whatever reason, don't make that income threshold. They could be blue collar, they could be white collar, they could be an entrepreneur, they could be whatever, because you could be blue collar and white collar and be an entrepreneur. All of those things can merge together. But carry on like where you're going so far. We got 100 people in the building. Make sure you hit the like button. I haven't even hit the like button myself. Shout out to myself right now, hitting the like button. All right, leading by example. All right. So go ahead and carry on.
I just wanted to just kind of put that aside because people tend to do that whole blue collar plumber with a heart of gold type stuff. It's like, well, that plumber with a heart of gold could be a millionaire. Like, I don't understand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or millionaire, as you Americans like to say. But anyways.
Whoa.
No. It's just.
What do we say? How do we say it?
No. It's I said millionaire, but millionaire. Yeah, it's just like,
Hold on, say it the right way, then say it how we say
no.
it.
There's no right or wrong way. No. I'm not gonna.
No. Okay, let's take
Millionaire would be, let's say, outside America.
in
Millionaire,
America. We'll say it again. I
millionaire,
need to hear it. Hold on. How do
millionaire,
mil, mil, millionaire?
millionaire. Uh-huh.
Millionaire. Okay. I never noticed that we said it different, so this was interesting. I had to hear it. Okay.
No, it's yeah. I mean, many
I
things get said
know. I'm
different
just
in
going to start
America.
paying attention whenever I listen to somebody describe how Americans talk. It blows me away because they end up pointing out some things. I'm like, oh, we've been saying that funny all this time. I didn't know, so I love it. But anyway,
The
go
main
ahead.
thing with the American way of talking is that you have this vowel right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's A, E, like it's bird, not bird or Bernard. You have this R that you throw in the R into the vowel sounds when it's not really there in the original English language, but it's fine. I think it mainly comes from the Irish or certain other kinds of things because the Irish tend to do that a lot as well. In other words, you guys begin the rolling of the R's and then maybe the Spanish take it all the way and But anyways,
Yes.
point is on this high value topic, if you're talking about the haters, okay, we could get there in a second.
Yeah.
But let's just mention the whole point of hierarchy, which is when one talks about value, when one talks about a good, one is talking about a end worth pursuing, right? So in life, you have to frame your life, either the whole of your life or your day or your morning, in terms of ends worth pursuing. You woke up this morning and you're like, I need to make coffee, or I need to get on this particular show, right? So that's an end worth pursuing. That immediately arranges your life in a way whereby there are things that move you towards that end, and then there are things that move you away from that end. Things that move you towards that end, those are virtues, right? Vis-a-vis that value. And then the things that move you away from that, those are vices, if you will, right? So you cannot get away from hierarchy. That's just the first thing that we have to say. You cannot get away from hierarchy. You cannot get away from morality. You cannot get away from good versus bad, because there are always ends worth pursuing and ends not worth pursuing. You're not just a nebulous cloud out there. As long as you're alive, right, you're going to have to pursue ends. You're going to have to frame either your whole life plus every moment by moment. There's a frame to it, which is you're moving towards a goal or moving away. Your virtues required for the pursuit of certain goals, and then vices, which take you away from that. Then there are various goals worth pursuing, and you can talk about broad categories of types of people. Let's say, for example, a warrior, Sparta, General Mad Dog Mattis, or General Patton, right? Those goals, okay, no one really looks at General Mattis and says, I wonder how much he has in his bank account, right? No, it doesn't even come up. And no one looks at Warren Buffett and says, I wonder if he's really good, at sniping and killing people. I wonder if he could break your neck. It's like, it doesn't come up. These people represent the pursuit of different ends, and then to rise up to the top of those various hierarchies require different virtues, right? So there are different hierarchies, okay? As was pointed out, though, by the person whom you're calling, a high-value hater, affectionately, I presume.
Yeah.
There are obviously things that hover above all hierarchies, or things that undergird everything, right? It's like saying, well, you can't talk about that, but you need to focus on breathing. It's like, let's say I talked about here's your diet, but you're like, well, but you didn't talk about breathing. It's like, well, we're assuming that you need to breathe. It's like breathing is kind of part of the deal. Like, being a decent human being, in other words, let's say you take Mad Dog Mattis or you take Warren Buffett, right? They both have to practice their craft, right? They both have to be diligent in terms of, let's say, maybe they need to wake up early and read spreadsheets, or this one needs to wake up early and practice the war games or whatever. There are certain things that cut across these, but those are a given. However, the point that I'm making here is, number one, that values require hierarchies, and that there are various values, various ends worth pursuing. You have King David or Mad Dog Mattis, what I call, or not what I call, but warrior prince class. That's one hierarchy. And then you have the sage / priest class, right? The, arm patch wearing philosopher or monk or, Nobel Prize winning people or priests. Those people are the same category. When I add priests, sometimes it may confuse certain people. But if you look back in time, the keepers of knowledge, the people who came up with musical notation, for example, or the fact that the Vatican has a, in other words, is that clear, Bernard? That the priest, the monk, the sage, if you will, the wise man, the philosopher, those are all the same kind of class of ends. Where they're pursuing the same kind of thing. It has to do with something inner. It has to do with knowledge, and so on and so forth, right?
Yes, I understand that. I didn't look at it from the perspective of they were all pursuing the same kind of thing, but I definitely get it. I definitely
Hmm.
get it. You're breaking it up in terms of class. When you mentioned hierarchy, where okay, in terms of like let's say a hierarchy, and by the way, before I even get into asking that question, really quick, there is Ike's the link to Ike's channel right there in the chat. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Ike moderators, copy and paste that, and definitely re-put it in the chat over
Spam
and
it.
over again. Spam it out, spam out the chat with that periodically. Don't just do it right now. Do it gradually throughout the show, because new people come in all the time. People leave, people come back, people leave, come back. So it's constant. It's a revolving door of people. So for the new people that come in, we do want them to be able to definitely hit the link and go subscribe to Ike. And so I guess explain. I understand what you mean when you say that there are different categories of people, and all the categories have value. And I guess the concept is kind of new to me, that they're looking for essentially the same thing. So
Um,
explain that.
mm.
The priest has a different objective than the warrior or the
Oh
warlord.
no,
Is
oh
it?
no, oh yeah, no, oh yeah, for sure. What I was saying is that the priest. I was talking about this one category, which is the sage, priest, and so on and so forth, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes people not tend not to understand that a scholar, a sage, a monk, a priest, a holy man, that all those people are in one category, right?
Oh, okay.
Uh, yeah, we can
Got you.
talk
Got you.
also
Got.
about the thing where,
Oh,
yeah,
oh.
yeah,
I see. I see where our brain farted. Okay, now I got you. That's a category. Okay, I got you now.
yeah.
Got you now.
So there is that category, and there's certain kinds of things that they pursue. Nobody goes and asks them when was the last time you slit someone's throat, or how badass are you with this particular kind of knife,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, well, hey, that guy's got a Nobel Prize, or that guy, he's a monk, and he went, 72 days fast, and he can walk on water, and so on and so forth, and he has all this wisdom, and he has these one-liners, and that kind of a thing, right? So that's another category. You have a category of merchants as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can call it what. So in America, this thing is so baked in the pie that we don't even see it. It's an assumption. In other words, we call it the work ethic, or to quote Max Weber, who came up with that term, it's the Protestant ethic. America is mainly Protestant. He tried to tie in this whole work, and if you don't work, you don't eat, and a certain kind of frugality and conscientiousness and industriousness, productivity, if you will. Try to tie it to Protestantism, but basically we're talking about the merchant ethic, right? Which is basically, well, go ahead, the things that are required in order for you to be successful in business, right? In the commercial landscape. And in the first time I appeared in your channel, I said that a big part of the modern revolution was the merchants taking over the princes and the priests, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's move the church away. Let's move these kings away, and let's make room for capitalism. And
Mm-hmm.
capitalism has certain particular set of landscape features that are required, right? Individual rights, and I can trade with you, free, that kind of a thing. But basically saying, hey, it's the merchants that are like, hey, merchants have always been there, by the way. So have priests and warriors and all that kind of stuff. But the merchants are like, you priests, okay, and you warriors, you fight too much. You guys always arguing, always wanting to mess things up, and you're messing up my trade. So that's kind of a shorthand way from an economic point of view to talk about the modern revolution. However,
Mm-hmm.
moving on, you have sage, you have warrior, you have the merchants, right? Let's just pick those three, okay? And then also you have, let's say, the artist, okay? The artist is the one that is kind of off on the side. they tend to be the ones that overturn hierarchies. They create new hierarchies, new games. They don't play within the system very well. They're kind of the hermits, the weirdos. Okay. They also have their own hierarchy, right? There is a, top, oh, that guy, he's the real top weirdo, right? He's the real deal. And then you have all the other people that try to imitate. Some call them hipsters and all those other kinds of people, right? So, point is, with all these different hierarchies, people tend to make one mistake, which is excusable, but it's still a mistake nonetheless, and it should be corrected, is they bleed these categories together. So when Kevin Samuels, for example, comes out and says, and he did not define it this way, okay, but it makes sense. We're a modern day capitalistic society. And by the way, the virtues of the merchant are the easiest to measure, right? I can't really measure how holy you are or really how even wise you are, right? Maybe you're pretending, maybe you're copying, okay? Those kinds of things. But I can kind of see, okay, how much did you make and how long did you make it? And do you have a network and are you useful? That kind of a thing, right? The merchant class virtues are easiest to measure. Plus, we're living in modern day capitalistic society. So if somebody were to come out and say, hey, high value man, here's these 6 points and so on and so forth, it should be immediately understood what the person is saying. And it should be immediately understood which category it is in. He did not bleed. And I think it was quite intelligent of him. He did not say, oh, also, and maybe you need to have some wisdom over here, and maybe you need to be a warrior and alpha, whatever over here. He did not do any of that. He just put merchant class values over there. And then what people do is they come over there from their fake monastery on some fake mountain up there and be like, how about me? How about my warrior? I'm a warrior. This is Sparta. I am a holy man and so on and so forth. Yeah. Which if you really were, you wouldn't have to tell us because it's completely antithetical to the whole holy man or wise man move. Plus, if you were smart, you would not make that mistake. So you're already showing your hand. You're not that smart. You're not that wise. Probably not that good either. Okay. So yeah, I like to smack people when they make silly mistakes like that because again, we are predominantly talking to men here, and there's no need to be pussyfooting about stuff. Like if you're making category errors like that, which by the way, I'm not making up the fact that it's a category error. Anybody with sense can see that it's a category error you're making, and you need to get smacked across the face very affectionately and say, hey, this is a different thing we're talking about. That goalpost shifting, which people attribute to, let's say, people say, well, women do that. You're the one doing that right now. We were talking about X and you ran in like, oh, how about this? And it's like,
You said goalpost shifting, so I had to, that's my graphic for whenever somebody starts moving the goalpost over here. I gotta play that. But carry on.
100%. That's a good one. I haven't.
You haven't seen that one?
No, I haven't seen that one.
I've had to use it. I had to use it on like 2 or 3 people so far. At least once per show. I'll break it out.
But before I continue, I don't know if you wanted to kind of check the super chats.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Snuggles. He said, "Bolo, are you in?" Hold on, real quick before I address what Snuggles said.
Hi, I'm Snuggles.
All right, Snuggles in the building. She said, "Bolo, are you in the building? I would like you to get." I think she thought she acknowledged that she put in a typo. I think she means she would like you to get on the panel for a discussion. It will be interesting to see you and Ike converse. Yeah. I mean, if he's here, we'll open it up later on. Perhaps he can if he's available. Why is Ty City saying stay in your lane Sundays? This is America. You don't have to stay in your lane. You can be whatever you want to be whoever you want to be, whenever you want to be it. I don't even know why you're telling people to stay in their lane, Ty City. Are you implying that somebody else is saying that, or either you're saying that? But either way, I think you're wrong. Snuggles in the building again with another one.
Hi, I'm Snuggle. Snuggly softness. That's really less expensive.
All right. She says, Bolo, I am happy you're in the building. I hope when they put the link out there, I would like to see you get on the chat. This is going to be a great Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll put the link in the chat. Anybody can take it. Anybody can take it. But hold on, I don't need that making all that noise. But no, good stuff so far. Good stuff so far.
Yeah. So having talked about value and the fact that hierarchies naturally come out of pursuing of ends, and also that hierarchies tend to be very natural to men because of the kinds of ends that we pursue. In other words, men tend to pursue the mastery and domination of the external world, right? Go out there. We talk about protection and provision, right? You got to go out there and you got to compete. You got to go out there, you got to farm, you got to hunt, you got to slay that thing. There are better ways of hunting. Everybody knows that guy's a better hunter than you. There is no kind of an argument and a vagueness about it. Okay. He gets the deer, you let him lead. He's the better guy. He has better techniques. So hierarchy, because of the kinds of ends that men pursue, tend to be very natural to us. And we are fine with it. Okay. Now the women organize themselves slightly differently, and in the social sphere, in the sphere of emotions and so on and so forth, and in the sphere of having everybody coming together and being egalitarian. In other words, the thing that makes the house a home. So if a man is building the house, right, there's a better way to build a house, a less better way to build a house, right? Hierarchy is very strict and forward in that regard. In the world of the making the house a home, things can blend a little. You get a little bit more communism going on, if you will, right? So that's why it's less natural, right, to start injecting hierarchy in the world of women, generally speaking. But anyways, that was a little.
One question that I was going to ask you, because something I never asked you, a question that I really don't care to ask, but for some reason it just piqued my interest. For some reason, I was going to ask you, what do you consider a high value woman? That's something I really don't care. I mean, it's because when I understand how you define high value, is women is like it's they're barely a part. I mean, they have their value, they have their thing that they do that they bring to the table. But I know in Ike's world, you view them completely different, because there's a lot of people that in this American context, this Western context, they view a high value the same way that they would view a high value man. Mm-hmm. They look at a woman with the same exact attributes and say, that's a high value woman. But I know you more than likely don't look at it like that. So that was a question I did have on the table that I was going to put on the table. How would you define a high value woman?
Remember, okay, because I like to keep things clean. I'm an engineer and I like philosophy. Things are simple that way. People like to dirty things up and get complicated and twist themselves up into a pretzel.
Hold on real quick. Mr. Majestic says Ty City is referring to the conversation topic, Bernard. Yes, that was my sarcastic way of letting Ty City know that his interpretation of the topic was wrong, and he needed not come in here trying to muddy the waters of the conversation with his cockeyed interpretation of what we're talking about and what we're telling people to do. That was my sarcastic way of saying that. But anyway, shout out to Ty City. That's my friend, buddy and friend of the show, who comes in here, who likes to come into my restaurant and tell all of my customers how nasty the food is. But still a great friend of the show. I love him.
Nick Penn in the building.
Shout out to Nick Penn. He says Black Excellence Sunday. Shout out to Nick Penn. We appreciate you. And I gotta do it. I gotta be ratchet.
I want 150,000. So we can settle out of court right now for $20.
Man, get your.
Shout out to Nick Penn in the building with the $20 super chat. Appreciate you.
Shout out to Red Sings the Blues as well.
I missed him. Yeah, I got distracted by Mr. Majestic's comment. He says, my two favorite podcasters. Oh man, don't warm my heart like that. He said, did you see my new mic? No, I didn't. I got to go check that out. You got the SM7V. I'm going to upgrade eventually. I'm going to upgrade to that. Even though this thing kind of grows. I think I might have exactly what you got.
Gotcha.
Yeah, even though this thing is kind of grown on me a little bit, it needs a pop filter, and the pop filter that I had that more or less came with it. Okay, I lost it. It goes on. It goes on funny. Hold on. Yeah, I lost it. It goes on funny. It's not made to. I'm not even going to explain it, but it doesn't do what I need it to do. It's designed for a different type of mic, a mic where you don't speak into the, the mic that you have. You got to speak right into the front of it. The pop filter that I got, it connects right here. It's like it covers up the mic right there, but it's designed for a mic where you speak to it speak to the side of it. So I got to either find a new pop filter or get a new mic altogether, which I was planning on doing. And this just will be just an extra mic laying around because someday I may have a bigger setup with in studio guests. So the more mics, the merrier. So
Well, you could give it to your son again. He could have the other mic because I believe he has the Yeti or something right now.
Yeah, he does have the. Actually, no, I still got the. He didn't come back and get it.
He didn't come back. He's like,
yeah, because I took the Yeti from. Maybe you think I'm still using it, but yeah, I got the Yeti. I'm like Kudo right now, just pulling out mics and everything. But I got the Yeti right here. My son is gonna yeah, he can come back down here and get this whenever he wants, but I guess he don't need it. But he was using it for whatever he was using it for. But yeah, he can definitely come back and get it. But shout out to Red Sings the Blues. Appreciate you. Definitely, absolutely, positively appreciate it. All right. All right, getting back into it. You
were asking me what a
high value woman. Yes. What do you consider a high value woman?
Following the same logic, which is, what you have to follow, is, well, what are the ends being pursued, right? And I inadvertently just kind of went into, well, male ends. And then you were like, oh, how about high value woman, right? So what are the ends being pursued? I said that immediately creates the hierarchy, right? And then because there are better and worse ways of pursuing that ends, or those ends, I say that, well, a man is out there predominantly, okay, and designed that way with upper body strength and so on and so forth to create things in the external world. Think about it as the lower end of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Get the water, get the food, kill the lion, and blah, blah, blah. Create that protection and provision layer, right? What then is the woman supposed to do? Okay. Harder to define because it's that thing that makes the house a home, right? It's in the experiential side of things. Okay. In other words, it's like some people will put it this way. It's like, well, how the man defends the home, but the woman makes the home worth defending. Quite simpy and syrupy, but you get the point.
That's how it's supposed to go. But in the modern context, things have gotten away from that. Like I've heard people argue, well, a home don't need defending that much, so you don't even got a real job in the house no more. It's like, there was a time when he may have had to fight off a wolf or saber-toothed tiger every day, but now it's a whole nother. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So those ends, though, right, which are they're psychological, they're emotional, right? They're experiential. In other words, a man goes out and kills this deer and he brings it home. Okay. What would a man do? If it's just a society of men, all men thinking like men, you're like, take that deer, quarter it, throw it on the fire, roast it, let's eat it. Women will be the ones that would be like, maybe I could do something with the hoofs. Maybe I can take it and make it into these little beads. Maybe I can skin it off and maybe we could hang up the little, the skin over here in the entrance of our little thing. Oh, doesn't that look pretty? It looks nice, right? And maybe we can put these little things around our waist and we can dance around the fire whenever we cook the deer or whatever, or the bear or whatever it is that we killed. All those things that have to do with, they tend to be rather ritualistic, but when I say experiential, the things that add to the experience of, they're just more than function. So the functional way is get the deer, cut it in quarters, roast it, eat it, go get another deer, right?
Seeing girls dancing around the fire all of a sudden lost all its appeal. now that I think about it, they're dancing around in dead animal skin. I just never thought about it. Never mind.
Oh,
But
come
go.
on, no, but it's nice
I
to
get
clean
it.
dead animal skins.
I get it, but I just never even thought about it. That the clothes that they got on, all the beads and necklaces that came from animal hooves, and
Yep.
I never thought about it. Never sat there and thought about it. But yeah, they're just dancing around, moving their hips around, all sexy in dead animal garb. But anyway, just never thought about it. Never thought about it.
Those are the ends that they're pursuing. So a high value woman is number one, a woman that first of all understands that she's a woman. Okay. In other words, the same thing with a man, right? A man that understands that he's a man and understands his role in nature. Okay. And then knows how to cooperate with a man, because otherwise, then what is the value you're bringing into the home, right? If we're using this house and home analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if the man is going to build the house and you're not going to come in and cooperate and do your part, the experiential part and so on and so forth, and you know that is your place. In other words, you're the marketing department, the branding department, the let's hang sheepskin on the wall department, the let's brand it this way department. A woman who understands those things and can do it well, the woman that will make you look good in public, right? The woman that will soften the edges of your brand. Those are the kinds of attributes, right, that move you closer and closer towards this particular value, which is the experiential value, the making the house a home value, right? So that'll be the pointer to what a high value woman would be in my way of looking at things.
Uh-huh. Right on. Yeah, and that's sort of you almost de facto made the case for marriage. I think you did talk about that before when I think I asked you the why in terms of getting married, and you did say that it's better for your look, for your brand, for business, for all that you present when you got your wife beside you. I botched it and didn't explain it quite as well as you did, but that's an argument that some people have made. Actually, Kevin Samuels is really the first one that has really made that argument in that case, that when you're moving up in that corporate world or whatever. Yeah.
I agree with him. Do you know what the divorce rate in Nigeria is? Just to kind of give you context of the world I'm coming from. You can look it up right now. That way we do. I was
going to make a bad joke because in my mind they just got so much iron fist control. The husband is judge, jury, and executioner, so the divorce rate is 0, unless the husband decides he wants to kill his wife. It's 0.
It'll surprise you. Well, it's not.
What is it?
It's 0.3%.
I was right. I was right. They're married to death do them part.
In other words, there is if you look at the multiple divorces, well, there is within divorces, really you look at the first 5 years, okay? And because if you look at after 20 years and certain other things like that, then the real number of the real things breaking apart is 0.3, and I'll get you the actual data on it, because if you look at then ones that fail after that, plus also if you add the aggregate of multiple divorces, the number gets higher. Let me just state that for statistical reasons. But when we look at that first 5-year divorce type thing, it doesn't tend to happen. Okay. However,
when I hear a 0% divorce rate, I see women in the basement tied up to the basement pole and just being abused. Like, okay, so you gotta smooth that out. How is it that no woman in Nigeria says, you know what, I don't really like this, I want to? So
why?
If none of them leaves, I assume they can't leave.
Well, let me. You mentioned the point or the case for marriage. We look at a society, and in this RP spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we point out is, in certain communities, single motherhood, therefore people are screwed up, especially men are screwed up.
Yeah.
But then some people, out of the other side of their mouth,
mm-hmm.
rather than say, how do we fix the whole marriage thing? They're like, because marriage isn't working, they start denigrating marriage. You know that kind of weird, another category mistake. It's like, it's not working here. it's not that it's a bad thing. It's not like, oh, this thing was just horrible from the start, and now let's
You're,
kick it and down.
you're speaking to my one of my biggest struggles in even doing this kind of content. I agree with you that marriage needs to get fixed, because when marriage works right, there's better outcomes for everybody involved across the board. But I don't know how you fix it in a free country without limiting somebody's rights, and that's what I struggle with, because I'm American, and so we got to have rights, liberties, freedom, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, freedom of association, and all of that. But
I think the pursuit of happiness part is where you can tie it in, because women are not happy right now in these societies where the marriage isn't working.
I know, but they do need to be free. So that's what I struggle with. How do we fix the problem of marriage without taking away women's freedom? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I think we had a series of conversations on that. But we started out with the practical individual. Yeah, we started out with what the individual man should do. And I do think that is the first step to take, which is you raise up the competition, right? Well, actually, I'm blending the individual plus a little bit of the collective, right? Because we're like, we need to turn up the competition, which is go out there. If it's not, look, if you're not finding the apples in your particular area anymore, if there are no more zebras to hunt in your area anymore, you get the hell out of there and you go find a place where there's a higher chance of you finding the apples and finding the zebra. Simple, okay? Yeah. Corporations have been doing this in terms of outsourcing their work and so on and so forth. The world is a global place, mainly forever, especially outside America. America is a continental power and is bordered by 2 oceans, so it makes sense that people kind of are landlocked, if you will, or locked in by oceans. But the whole world has been an open place. So for individual men, go where you are treated best. Simple. Simple. That's it. So anyways, that's the whole high value woman aspect of things, okay? Making the house a home, understanding that you're a woman, and then also the functional family is very important, because outside of one side of our mouth, we keep on saying, oh my God, these guys are horrible. We have BAN, which is my abbreviation of, you may understand.
BAN, I forgot. Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. We have these BANs walking around, and we know what produces them, the single motherhood and all that kind of stuff. And then out of the other side,
for those that don't know what BAN is, that's female dog, donkey,
Negro.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right. So got it. So you said people talking out of both sides of their mouth. So go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, people talk on both sides of the mouth. They're like, okay, well, we have these BANs out here, and how do you fix the BANs? Well, you need a father in the house, you need a functional society, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, oh, marriage is always bad. I don't care. So let's take it all, let's burn it all to hell. And it's like, dude, you're being a BAN. It's like that's my whole point on that. Now, if I were to take a couple of steps back, we were saying that the reasons why some of these BANs talk about, do this high value hating is because they're making a category mistake. For example, Kevin says, hey, here are these particular attributes, virtues required for the pursuit of certain ends, and they're measurable, and they are also in line with modern day capitalistic mercantile type societies. Makes sense. Some people are, this is the first thing I'm saying here is the generous interpretation, which is just a category mistake. And then we'll talk about the emotional reasons why they do it, okay? The generous reason is that they have not neatly put these different pyramids. In other words, they don't look at, okay, there's a warrior class, there's a priest class, there is a merchant class, there is an artist class. They have different ends they're pursuing. There are different virtues required for the pursuit of those ends. They haven't neatly done that. So that's me being generous to them. And I say, hey, slap your hand, stop doing that, learn to think clearly and put these categories differently, and don't start telling somebody about morality when they just gave you a list of merchant class type stuff. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I have to mention here is, and I mentioned it in the conversation that sparked this particular topic, is that do you think, and the reason why Kevin said you got to make that money for a certain period of time, and then why he also added that you have to have people accept you and you be useful. In other words, you can't be a freaking criminal, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what that's about. And you can't just have lucked upon it. In other words, it takes virtues, consistency, hard work, and so on and so forth to be that person.
You made a real good point on that one. You actually cut me off on the show. I was about to make a bad point and you cut me off because I was about to say morality doesn't necessarily have nothing to do with it. And baked into the cake, well, it's baked into the cake, but it's not in the outward description. And and when the other guy kept bringing in moral virtues and all of that stuff, I was about to say that's not a part of the definition. That's good, but it has nothing to do with what he's talking about. But you put a real good finer point on it that if you accomplish all those things in the criteria, it's really difficult to do that and be a complete unreliable jerk that nobody wants to be around. You know, or somebody who's breaking the law. Well, I mean, and this is where it gets slippery because somebody could argue that if you're moving up there in the ranks in terms of status and money, you maybe gotta bend some rules a little bit because there are people.
Jesus went in there into the temple and whipped those people, didn't he? In other words, whenever you're pursuing any ends, you're gonna need to get rid of the nonsense, no matter what. So I would immediately be like, hey, push back on the people who talk about that kind of stuff too.
Okay, yeah. So definitely, I'm glad you pointed that out because that one of the biggest things that people say, and maybe I think Kevin probably even takes debate on this one when they try to bring up the morality and the virtues. I don't even think he says that you can't accomplish all of that and be that valuable to the group and knighted in by the group and in your overall usefulness to the group and having that network of other men who are useful and doing. It's difficult to do that if you're just some immoral monster just running around hurting people for your own benefit and gain. Eventually, people are not going to be working with you.
Yeah. And the guy said
so,
Bernie Madoff. And it's like, well, yeah, Bernie Madoff lasted a little bit, but I mean, why go out there to go find? You look around your city, there are many businesses around run by diligent, hardworking, good people. Okay. And then you go talk about Bernie Madoff. And it's like, that kind of silliness kind of annoys me. But anyways, not to psychoanalyze Kevin Samuels, because you brought this thing up. And it's interesting, there are different people who think psychological categories, the big five, if you will, plus other. In this particular regard, it's intuitive versus sensor. Okay. Kevin Samuels, to the best of my estimation, is what you call a sensor. And I think you are too, Bernard. But anyways.
Okay. Now I'm very curious about what is a sensor. But anyway, I don't know exactly what.
They tend to be very inductive, where you look at the external things and you gather data, point, in order to build something. So Kevin would look at the external stuff. The intuitive is always either hovering above to kind of see what the general thing is or what the insides are. It's like, what's the essence? It's like, I don't care that you said 6 figure or 7 or 8 or 2 years. It's like, but for me, I'm always looking oh, it does take a certain kind of way of being to be that person, or that there is a generality. In other words, intuitive versus sensor. An intuitive is a little bit more deductive in the sense that they're always working with general maps. Like, I get the big picture, and then I come in and fill in the details later. A sensor starts with the details and builds outward into the big picture. That's kind of generally what it is. Gotcha. And I think that the way Kevin always does not bring up this thing that I bring up is kind of a pointer to the fact that probably that's how he kind of looks at things, right? But for me, the first thing I would just say is, well, how do you think? What do you think? You think you just automatically make 120K for 5 years and also have a network, and then you also are useful and the seen and the respect? It's like, come on. Obviously, it's hard work. You know this. You've pursued ends before of different kinds. You know it takes consistency and diligence and so on and so forth, and those are virtues. But people want to just come up, and here's where we now start talking about the emotional or the here's the thing. They don't want accountability. The haters don't want accountability. You know why? Because they don't like things to be measured. The merchant class high value attributes are the easiest to measure. The least easy to measure is that priest stuff, that morality stuff. Any idiot can come in. I think there was a writer who said that morality is like a ghost town where anybody can show up and just declare themselves mayor. It's like, wow, I'm the mayor. I'm the most like. That's what. Look, what do you think about that? Don't you see that? It's like, hey, here's these measure, and I come and go bring the vaguest, most immeasurable BS to challenge it. Like, how about my morality? Or how about morality? Just like you're looking for, you don't like accountability to account for, to measure, to put down, to say I made this. Anyways, go ahead.
Oh, no. You were good. You were cooking. But a shout out to Utopia. And I'm not going to play the $10 nation thing for you, Utopia. I got to get a separate $10 acknowledgement for when certain individuals donate. So I'm not going to play. No, I'm going to give you the got 5 on it twice. No, not gonna play it.
Damn, shout out to Utopia also as well over here on the Cash App, right? She hit me up with the 10 as well. She's always doing that, always consistent, always dropping $20, 10 for Bernard, 10 for me. Shout out to you. I'll give you a round of applause for my new Roadcaster gear there.
Right on. Ike got the sound effects too. You got I was thinking of never mind. I had an idea, but no, I'm not gonna flesh it out right now. It might not be funny. But shout out to Utopia. She says, my support for I don't speak emoji very, very well. Beads okay, okay, that means beads by the fire. Okay, I got you. Okay, that equals beads by the fire. Great show as always, gentlemen. Thanks. I think she's referring to earlier when we were talking about men killing animals and bringing the animals home, and the men just want to slice it up and eat it. But the women like, no, let's take the skin and make a rug or hang it up right there and make it look cute and make some nice little beads and stuff. And I sit there and thought about whenever I think of women dancing by the fire, I'm like, they're dancing around in dead animal skins and remains. I just never thought about that. Sort of changes the whole dynamic. But shout out to Utopia. Appreciate the $10 super chat. And shout out to the one and only Snuggles in the building.
Hi, I'm Snuggle.
Shout out to Snuggles. He said, I'm sending this for Utopia because she likes this one. Shout out. Appreciate you. Oh yeah, she said she loves Snuggles sound clip. Yeah, that is funny as hell. All right. Where were we?
I'm talking about the fact that people don't like accountability. People don't like things that are measurable. People like to talk about weird things such as self-improvement without putting a number on it. People want to talk about morality and how they're up in the mountaintops and the highest value monk, and nobody can measure that. No one can verify it, right?
Yeah. We don't know what kind of dirty, wicked thoughts are going on in his head. He's probably plotting to kill the monk next to him. You never know. It's funny.
So, and if you are that person, you go amongst those people and be judged amongst them. In other words, the Marines said General Patton is a badass. Mad Dog Mattis. I think Mad Dog Mattis was the Marine, not Patton. It is those people that judge that. So hence, Kevin Samuels talks about in his merchant class type stuff, your peers of those high value people will judge you. Like, be like, you know what? Ike is a great entrepreneur, businessman / salesperson. Ike always comes through. I will give more business to Ike. Ike gains more value because he has value, because these people say so. Not the priests nor the warriors, right? Because I'm not over there playing war games with them. So if you are Mr. Holy Man, then you should be satisfied, number one, with your own judgment, because that's kind of how it goes with the morality thing, which is you don't go out and say it, right? Which is completely, you immediately show your hand when you come out and say that. And then number two, more to the point, is that this thing is not measurable and people don't like accountability. And that is part of the emotional reason why they want to jump in immediately and start talking about things that are not measurable. Whenever someone puts things on the table that are measurable, make this amount of money for this amount of time, be this, LinkedIn level type, visibility. And they want to counter it with things that are not visible, such as morality and so on and so forth. So in addition to making that category error, which is the first mistake they make, which is excusable, now we're moving into the ones that are less excusable, which is the lack of accountability. And take, for example, and these bleeds the two things. This thing whereby you talk about money and people start saying money doesn't make you happy. Have you ever noticed that one? What do you think about that statement?
Wow. When you talk about money, somebody always says money doesn't make you happy. I forgot what movie it was when somebody said money doesn't make you happy. And then the quick response, that's just something that poor people say. But but no, I always hate it. You know what I hate more is when somebody who has money says money doesn't make you happy. That burns me up. With somebody who has $100 million. Yeah, but money isn't everything. Money doesn't make you happy. Okay, go give that guy $5 million right now. No, are you crazy? They ready to pull a gun on you. Give me all your money right now. Give me your money that you got. You got $5 million. You just won the lottery, or you got $1 million. You got $5 million. Money doesn't make you happy. Money isn't everything. Okay, go give away your 5 million. Go donate it to starving children somewhere. Go now. Go do it.
Mm-hmm. So
they're not going to do it.
I like the part that you point out there, but there's a crazier part to that thing. Well, let's look at what money is. Money is a tool, right? It literally is, right? It is a means of exchange, right? So not to get all crazy, but I like to go from fundamentals, right? That's kind of again intuitive type person. That's how I think. That's how I look at things. So basically, okay. So what is money? You and I are in an island, okay? We're a group of people in an island. We have cell phones, okay? And we have cell phone minutes. You are a sheep herder, and I make I raise potatoes. You want potatoes, okay? But I don't want your sheep. In other words, barter is the means by which we exchange. So money is a tool for exchange, right?
Yes.
You want potatoes. I don't want your sheep. But we're like, hey, how many cell phone minutes, okay, how many cell phone minutes for a sack of potatoes? Because we have cell phones. That's why I introduced the cell phones aspect. In other words, there's this kind of commodity which we can use as money, which everybody uses, and we could all denominate all goods in that. And we're like, you know what? That way I don't have to worry about you wanting sheep, me wanting potatoes. In other words, it's called the double coincidence of wants. Money solves the problem of double coincidence of wants.
Yeah.
I give you 10 cell phone minutes, you give me a sack of potatoes. I go home. Somebody else comes to me and, whatever, and they want my sheep stuff. They give me cell phone minutes. In other words, now cell phone minutes becomes our money. It is a tool by which we can facilitate exchange and transactions. Fine, good. It's a tool. We've defined it now. Let's look at other tools like shovels and spades and so on and so forth. If I came to you and I say, you know what, we need to dig some holes. I think we should get these particular kind of shovel. Or how are your shovels doing? How many shovels do you have? And then I tell you, shovels don't make you happy. Will I not sound crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, you would.
This is how crazy these people actually are. In other words, the reason why I took that 2 minutes there to define money and say that it is a tool is because to show you unequivocally that these people are telling you about happiness when you're talking about a tool. It is insane. They're literally crazy. They're showing their hands also in the sense that they have this emotional hang up and a fear of money linked with fear of failure, fear of hierarchy, fear of not measuring up. But I'm literally saying, hey, let's dig some holes. How many shovels do you have? You know what? I think we should get more. I'm looking at digging better holes next year, so I'm going to get more shovels. And they're like, shovels doesn't make you happy. And it's like, dude, you're crazy.
Okay. Yeah, that was good. That was good.
So,
I love how you did that there. Well, real quick, shout out to Osama Abdul. He says, BR and Brother Ike, a duo on the rise. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate the $2.
Yeah, let's go, man. I got $2 for you, man. I know I'm a little short, but you come.
And for Taboo Smash, or is that taboo? Does that stand for something? I'm not sure. He says it does not. I think he means the money does not make you happy, but it helps a lot. Well, I think Ike just explained it quite well. It will help you get a lot of nice shovels for the digging that you need to do. So in that sense,
That's it.
it made the process of digging a lot easier. A lot.
And
So
it's like, if you start telling me about happiness when we're digging holes, I'm like, look, happiness, go tell your wife or something. Like, we're digging holes. It's like, why are you telling me about your happiness when we're talking about shovels and holes?
Well, just think, you don't got money, you only got one shovel. So digging those holes would be a 10-hour job, but you got money, so you can go buy this super duper mega magnaplex hole digger that can cut the job down to 30 minutes. Okay. I think so. So in that sense, you can quantify that this money, okay, probably didn't make me happier, but it made my day easier. It freed me up to go do, it freed up 7.5 hours for me to be able to go do something else that I wanted to do that day other than dig these damn holes. So, so money adds to it definitely. But what I've always said is like, I'm naturally a happy person. I can't even get mad. I can't even stay mad for a long time. I can't. I've tried. I've tried to cut somebody off in the sense of like, just I'm going to deal with this person. Long handle spoon, no conversation if because it's somebody who I must talk to from time to time, only through text message, strictly business. I tried to stay in the zone of, but I just can't. I can't stay mad at somebody. I can't. It's one of the best things about me and one of the worst things about me. I can't stay upset long enough, because sometimes you do need to treat somebody a certain way once they show you certain things. But I open back up and give people chances. It's a good thing and a bad thing. But the point that I was trying to make is that I'm naturally a happy person. So you could take all my money away. I think I'll still be happy, just a little less comfortable. You could give me a lot more money. I'll still be happy, just more comfortable. That's how I look at it. The money doesn't take away who or what I am. But like you said, it's a tool. It makes life easier. It gives you more freedom.
Comfort makes it a lot easier to be happy. If happiness is this thing people want to keep on bringing up, right?
Yeah, I know, but
then being comfort helps.
Yeah, but see, my thing is, there's people who are miserable. They got money, and so it gave them a little boost. But I think they defaulted back to they regress to the mean, so to speak. If you're just a miserable, mad at the world person, you're going to be rich and miserable, and people still aren't going to like you, and you're gonna blame it on your money. Why everybody's acting different now? They don't like me because I got money. No, they didn't like you before. But it's so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that on both ends, on the side where it's like, well, does money actually make it easier to be happy? I think the answer is yes. And then the more salient point I'm making is that you're fucking crazy if you talk about happiness and somebody talks about money. Next time you do that, anybody who's listening right now, if you think I'm sorry for cussing, but I had to drop this one out there.
Yeah.
It's that important. You are insane, because I just described that it's a tool. And when somebody starts talking about tools and you start talking about happiness and how does it make you happy, you are showing your hand. You're one of these BANs out there, right? That you, I don't know, somebody didn't slap you right when you were growing up or something. Look, again, because we're primarily talking to men, and I don't like to pussyfoot when I talk with men. It's like, I don't have time for BANs and their nonsense, right? So get your head out of your ass, okay? Stop talking about happiness when people talk about money. It's a massive category error. Again, it seems to be the theme today. And you seem stupid, and everybody sees what you're doing. Everybody sees your hand. Everybody sees that you're scared. Not a good look.
Right on. But shout out to Taboo Smash. I don't have a $3 clip, but you'll get shout out to you. Appreciate it. All right. Did we circle the wagons on the high value thing, or the high value haters, as I said?
Yeah, I think that we did, because not only did we define the whole necessity for value, which, because in life you need to pursue ends. There is no such thing as just kind of floating nebulously as a nothing. You're going to need to pursue something, and therefore there are better and worse ways of pursuing that. Therefore, there are virtues required for pursuing that. Therefore, you're going to have hierarchies, and there are different ends being pursued. You have merchant class type ends, warrior class type ends, priestly ends, and also, let's say, artsy ends, if you will, and that these people have different virtues required, and there are different hierarchies, therefore. And don't make the category error of when somebody in a capitalistic society says, hey, these ones here, the merchant type class stuff, they're measurable, by the way, blah, 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 blah. They say that, and then you come in with your immeasurable. How about me? I'm the most alpha. I'm the most holy. I'm the get the hell out of here. Okay. I see Game Changers asking BANs.
Female dog, donkey,
Donkey, Negro.
Negro.
So, and then we also said that if you want to even talk about either that thing which cuts across all hierarchies or that thing which is inherent in the particular hierarchy that Kevin Samuels talks about, that it takes virtues to be that person. Okay? Look, I'm in this world of business, entrepreneurship, and so on and so forth. Or at least, we all know about jobs, right? We all know about pursuing various ends and so on and so forth. And we know that it takes virtue. It takes consistency. It takes hard work. It takes a certain kind of stick-to-itiveness to be able to be to own that string of laundry marts or whatever, or start your own electrician trade and keep it up and make that $200K for the next 5 years and so on and so forth, to be a good dentist with a good dental practice that brings in $500K a year. Okay. These people are not immoral loser type of people these are stand-up dudes.
Yes.
That otherwise they would not. So, but then people want to talk about the extreme, like, well, but how about Hitler and how about Bernie Madoff? And it's like,
was Hitler a high value man? was Stalin a high value man?
And especially with regards to the ends that we're talking about here, because generally speaking, Kevin has a reason why he's saying it, or just let's say in this manosphere spaces, staying on your purpose, let's say, that kind of stuff. In other words, there's a goal. You're trying to push people in a certain direction of improvement. We're not having some very lofty philosophical conversation in a college class where perhaps it will be relevant to say, was Hitler a high value man? And then we can rub our beards and we can talk about it. Right? Exactly. But it's like, why he's saying it. He wants people to get off. Jordan Peterson wants you to clean up your room, get out of your mom's basement, that kind of stuff. And then you want to come in and start circling and talking about nonsense. So I think that with all these points, I think we've adequately addressed, including the fact that there's category errors and also there are mistakes that come from your fear. People are afraid of success. They're afraid of failure. They don't like the fact that they don't measure up in one particular hierarchy, so they want to either destroy the hierarchy or bring in another hierarchy, move the goalpost, right? That's literally moving the goalpost. Right? Here's my little hierarchy over here. I'm looking at this, and they're like, about this. It's like, dude, I never said anything about that. So I think that with that, at least my thoughts on the whole high value hater thing, I think I kind of put them on the table. Plus, we also talked about high value women even. So I think, yes, we did circle the wagons, if you will.
All right. Cool. Now let's get into the habits. I was going to call it the habits of high value people, but I didn't necessarily want to merge it there because we were talking about two different things, and I wanted to merge them together. But this sort of piggybacks on what we talked about on the last stream, where somebody came up with the, for lack of a better way to describe it, potentially brilliant idea of asking the question, well, how do you extend the post-nut clarity? I'm going to out Game Changer really quick because he came on the show and he told a story. So he told this story. I'm not giving insider information here. He told the story live on the air of how he found himself at a woman's house having sex with her. She had one of the house arrest tellers on her foot, the house arrest bracelet on her ankle. I mean, so here's Game Changer, who I assume pulled up in a sweater vest, in the ghetto part of the ghetto, having sex with a woman with a house arrest ankle bracelet on. I'm pretty quite sure after he got one off, he was like, what the hell am I doing here? So we talked about how We talked about how does someone get in that state, that post-nut clarity. How do they more or less stay in that state longer? How do they extend that state longer? And so we were talking about that, and it kind of segued into what we're going to talk about now. You talked about the good. Sorry, game changer. Had to tell your story. Had to tell your story. I apologize, but but so we talked about how to extend that clarity, that moment of clarity, and you segued into that, and you kind of I guess what we're going to segue into, and I'll let you set it up going forward from here,
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
how you're creating getting rid of the. Well, no, I'll let you go from here. I'll let you go from here.
Yeah.
I set it up
So-
far as I'm going to go home real quick before you go. Pablo Frescobar in the building. He said the issue I had was so many of our people don't accept professional expert advice. Really good point there. But all right, I'll let you set it up from there, piggybacking on the last conversation and segueing into this conversation. You got it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the last conversation was actually a very good one because it was quite practical, even though it's heavy and deep. We talked about the post-nut clarity, and I said the first thing that we need to notice is that this presupposes a pre-nut fog, right?
Mhm.
And I say, rather than talk about post-nut clarity and how to extend that, let's go into the fog. Like what
Yeah.
we got phenomenological about the fog. I was like, what does the fog feel like? And it gives us a sense that we have no control. We don't have free will. Why did I do this? I was being driven. And then we analogized it to other drives, such as hunger, or thirst, or whatever, things that drive you and push you, okay? And that how it controls your frame. You talk about an itch in your back. That's your particular thing, okay? And you're like, that controls your frame. And we were talking about, okay, well, there are many things to do in order to tackle this. First off, you look at it, right? You look at it till it becomes like a breeze, right? And the way to help is to instantiate new habits. And I mentioned using fasting. You need a dopamine fast every time, right? From time to time, that is, at least. You need to break away from all kinds of sources of dopamine. Look, these, and I know you don't like when I bring up heuristics, superstitions.
Oh
things
no,
that are
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just going to make a simple one, which is the fact that in almost every tradition, okay, whether you look at the Judeo-Christian tradition or you look at the the Indians / Chinese, Africans, they all do the fasting thing, right? Now, they're not going to say dopamine, but just because you say dopamine doesn't mean you really that you're smarter about it. Fact is, people have always known, and it's called a heuristic. In other words, you kind of have these rules of thumb, right? Like, it seems to work. Okay, my great-grandfather and all the fathers say do this. Maybe we don't know why. Just like right now, people say they use the word dopamine. They don't know what dopamine is, okay? And they're probably not even fasting. As a matter of fact, the people back then who used superstition probably fasted and behaved better because they followed the rules more than people who are like, yeah, dopaminergic, blah, blah, blah. And they're fat and they're on their phone 24/7 and they're slobs. And they also BANs to add to that. So,
Hold on, real quick. Hold your thought on that because there's something funny going on in the chat. Kaya Do is asking for a friend. Does this happen to women too? And then Clue said, yeah, post-wet clarity. I wonder why women don't never have that conversation or describe it as that. It seems like they should be having that conversation more, letting some I don't even want to throw any names or labels out there, the type of guys they let run up in them raw. Seem like they should have that. Why they never talk about post-nut clarity like we do? It seemed like they would have that conversation more. But Kaya Do she was asking for a friend. She was asking for a friend. She don't have that problem. All right.
Yeah. Well, no, that totally kind of put because there are many differences. I think that the drive in men is a little like sharper, like more acute. It's like, and then also men will kind of do anything. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. It's a hole on a dumpster or whatever. Like, yeah. Women are more likely to go after that. Let's say you're looking for Pookie to hit him raw or whatever. and then they may regret, but they did actually want that guy. You know what I mean? They
Uh-oh.
wanted that thing. You know what I mean? But it's men are like, why did I choose that? In other words, men are more like indiscriminate, right? So I think there are differences in the way the shape of the activity. But yes, there are drives, and any drive can lead you to be in the fog, and then so on and so forth. So we talked about habits. I talked about fasting. I talked about breaking that dopamine fix that we have. Put the cell phone away for a while. Right now, for example, I'm in a fast where I'm just doing water and coffee. So you've noticed I'm walking back over there to my heated cup, sipping some coffee, water. I'm only about 2 days right now.
So hold on, wait, just make sure I understand it right. You have not had food in almost 2 days.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay. All right, carry on.
It if you can get there, it's tough. You might need to get on your knees and pray. So I'm like, oh my God, help me. But when you get there, that ultra instinct thing people talk about, it's great. And yes, I do know that caffeine is bad. Yes. But last time too, I mentioned that if you have to use a crutch, sometimes you got to use a crutch, right? Even though you know the crutch is bad and you know that there are better ways. In other words, the point of me doing this fast is to get to the point where I'm back at my just meditating, typical one meal a day, don't need caffeine, just hydrating and so on and so forth. But if I have to use a crutch to get there, then it's all good. I like the Christian way of like, you know what? Hey, you can do some sinning. He without sin cast the first stone type stuff. So that's what I'm doing, DJ Kuda. I understand that it is bad, but I believe in using crutches in order to get to the mountaintop and then put the crutch away, thank the crutch, and then move on. Yeah, cigars too. Nicotine, caffeine, those things that suppress your appetite and give you energy, good as crutches to get past the hump. So we mentioned fasting to form new habits. And then today we're going to talk about that habit thing quite specifically. And just a little bit before you open up the panel, which I don't know, I didn't even look at the time, but I feel like probably been talking a while, haven't we?
Yeah, we've been going a while. Hopefully we can get to a panel, but if we don't, we don't. So just go ahead and carry on.
So habits. Other than what I mentioned before, which is, you need to fast so that you can then form new habits. Okay. But I want to bring in this idea, which is that you simply need to pay attention to what needs to improve and let your unconscious mind take over. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Like, what exactly is this guy talking about, right? So basically I'm saying that attention precedes measurement, management, improvement, and all that kind of stuff. Just simple paying attention. Mm-hmm. Let me ask this question, and it's going to be an intuition pump in order for you to see the shape of the landscape that we're describing. Have you noticed that people, or even you, when you're not at the weight you want to be,
don't get too personal. I'm just playing. Go ahead.
When people are not at the weight that they want to be, they actually don't know how much they weigh. In other words, they don't weigh themselves.
Mm-hmm.
When broke people don't have a nice spreadsheet about how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. People with bad credit scores don't check their credit score. In other words, there is a correlation between attention not being paid and improvements not being made. Okay. Mm-hmm. We run away from the scale, I'm not even saying causation right now. I'm just saying notice the correlation, and you immediately were able to get it. And I think everyone else will be able to get it. That's why I called it an intuition pump. It kind of pumps our intuition to kind of see, oh yeah, so this is what we're talking about. There is a relationship between attention and improvement. When things are going bad, we are not paying attention. It tends to be the reverse. Also tends to be the case when you're up there and you're running every day and you're measuring your steps and you're watching your this and you're measuring your weight and things are going great. You have a spreadsheet for your money and you're looking at your credit score and your credit score is great. The reverse also is the case when things are horrible. So what can we learn from that fact? Okay. What can we learn from that fact? So basically it goes like this. There is an unconscious mind, okay, which is where the habits are going to be formed, and we're trying to use that, okay? Mm-hmm. The reason why people don't pay attention, people run away and don't want to pay attention to their weight, for example, because they're like, I'm going to then have to measure it and manage it. And what system am I going to use? I don't want to. All I'm saying is this. You don't have to worry about that. Your unconscious mind will take care of it. All you have to do is go look at the scale. All the CEO has to do, the CEO is your conscious mind. It's like 0.001% of you. The rest of you is unconscious. What do I mean by that? I'm saying that the oxygenation of your blood, the beating of your heart, the balance of your pH, all the regulation of your temperature, the homeostasis, even the thinking, the interpretation of language, all that stuff is unconscious. Would you agree, Bernard? Like, are you there beating your heart right now? Are you controlling no, you're incompetent. If I say, hey, if I give you for 1 second, like, hey, control your systems, Bernard, balance this, you'll be dead, right?
Exactly.
You don't know what's going on, right?
Right.
So that needs to be clearly understood that there is a very powerful thing. Jonathan Haidt, a psychologist, and those guys, the Jordan Peterson crew type people, use the analogy of the elephant and the rider, okay? Basically, the elephant is your unconscious being, all that stuff that I described, from your thinking to your habits to your blood regulation to homeostasis, blah, 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 blah. It's an elephant. The CEO, the thin veneer of consciousness, is the rider on top of the elephant. The elephant is way more powerful than the rider, even though the rider can control and train the elephant. But you can't really, if the elephant decides to go buck wild, ain't nothing you can really do, okay? If your system just goes crazy, right? Really, there's nothing little bit that conscious Bernard can do about it. Okay, so take advantage of the elephant. The elephant is your company. The elephant is very capable. The elephant knows how to drive down the freeway, and you're driven down 60 miles, and you're like, oh, I don't even know how I drove. The conscious mind is only there, and I know that I'm getting a little abstract now, but we'll get back, we'll snap back to the intuition. The conscious mind is only there to pay attention to the new thing so that you can simply outsource it to the unconscious mind, to outsource it to the elephant. You're like, okay, I'm learning how to drive, I'm paying attention, and okay, I got it, now it's unconscious. I'm learning how to ride a bicycle, I'm paying attention to it, okay, now I got it, now it's unconscious. When you are good at something, it's unconscious. When you're really paying attention, in other words, the elephant is better at doing things. It's better at driving. It's better at riding a bicycle. It's better at interpreting language. When you're learning a new language, you have to pay attention. And then you outsource it to the elephant. So what I'm saying is this. Rather than rather than be scared of looking at the scale, right? Rather than say, okay, how can I manage this improvement? All you simply need to do is go and start looking at the scale every morning, right? All you need to do is go and start looking at your credit score. You're like, well, but how do I improve? Like, don't worry about it. The elephant is very capable, very smart. It'll take care of it. Guess what? The elephant knows you want to lose weight. It wants to lose weight. It is the seat of your desires and so on and so forth. Guess what? It wants to see a lower number in the scale as time progresses. It will start either, maybe you call it Pavlovian or whatever, all kinds of feedback mechanisms to make sure that subtly it starts shifting you towards habits that'll lead to that number dropping on the scale, towards habits that'll lead to that credit score going up, towards habit that'll lead to you sticking within the budget. All you, Mr. CEO of the company, has to do is open up the spread, say, hey, here's the attention. You take the elephant and you say, hey, Mr. Elephant, look over there. That's all you got to do, okay? To begin with. The rest starts, that's how you start the flow. Because people tend to overthink. They want to be a micromanager. They're like, how do I do all this stuff? It's like the company is floundering, it's failing, and the CEO is hiding. Like, I'm not going to look at the scale. I'm not going to look at the credit score. It's like, dude, Mr. CEO, all you got to do is look. The company will take care of it. The elephant will take care of it. Your subconscious will take care of it. I know that's a mouthful. Kind of let you respond, see what you think here with regards to the fact that all you need to do is pay attention, and then certain things start to get in motion with regards to forming new habits.
Right. I agree. Whenever I've had major success, I'm glad you just went right there and used the weight example, because I think that's one that most people, when you start approaching those 40s into those late 30s, I think most people can relate, unless you just work out regularly and eat healthy regularly. That's something that most people, I believe, can definitely relate to. I'm somebody who has gained a lot of weight and then lost a lot of weight and gained it back and lost it back again, and so forth and so on. I mentioned before, like right now I weigh more than I've ever weighed, so I've never just been just belligerently fat, but just overweight and need to get it under control. Put it like that. Just need to get it under control. But every time that I have succeeded in losing weight, it has always been a factor of making it a habit of getting on the scale every day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, no matter what. I kept the scale in my room. I kept it in the walkway, like to where in order for me to get from point A to point B in my room, I had to either step over the scale or get on it and weigh myself. That was more or less how my mindset was. So you are definitely right, and everything that you said lines up exactly with my life. I mean, I'm somebody who at once upon a time had horrible credit. Now I have really good credit. Right now, I'm checking my credit score every 2 weeks. When it was bad, I know it's bad. Don't need to look. It's bad. It's bad. But so yeah, you are definitely on the right track. I mean, it could sound simple, but basically you're saying just constantly just revisit the spreadsheet. Constantly make a habit of looking at the spreadsheet and seeing where the numbers are, and that's definitely good place to start there. Deacon Dave in the building with the $2 super chat. Appreciate that.
Go, man. I got $2 for you, man. I know I'm a little short, but you can.
To Deacon Dave, appreciate you. And we also have Deacon Dave back at it again. He says, Ike, you're right, and I never noticed. I'm never hungry when I'm puffing my stogie. Shout out to you. Appreciate that. And yeah, you even mentioned that in the other super chat. I didn't actually read it. He said cigars are the shiz. I'm puffing right now on Mamas. I guess that a type of cigar. I guess I don't know. I don't do cigars. I don't smoke anything. My vice is food.
You don't smoke anything? Okay.
No. No. Like people were saying, man, in your show to set up, man, you got to get a cigar. Like, nah, I'm not about to start puffing on cigars for the look. If I went my whole life not smoking, I'm not going to just do it for the look, for the coolness of it. I'm not gonna mess up my lungs for the coolness. Now, if that's what I needed as a advice, as a vice, like coffee is one of mine. I got sugar. I got coffee. Should be some more coffee on the way right now. But yeah, coffee and food. Coffee and food are my vices. Even though I've been working out, I slacked the last 2 days. I've been slipping on my pimping the last 2 days. But yeah, but I definitely got to get back at it. I've been putting in 4 miles on the elliptical. I did that 2 or 3 days in a row. I think on the third or fourth day.
Pretty good.
On the third or fourth day, I just lifted and didn't do the elliptical, and so. But then I took 2 days off when the weekend hit. So now I gotta get back in that habit. Gotta get back on it. Probably starting tonight. Oh, here, yep. No, just pour it in there. Thank you very much. And so I'll definitely be getting back in this. Thank you. Getting back in the swing of that. But no, you're definitely on the right track. On the right track now. Just the way you put it, I like that. Just look at the spreadsheet. Look at the spreadsheet. That's a good start. That's the start of forming a good habit. Shout out to
yeah. So
the Game Changer said, yeah, Bernard, that would be lame. What would be lame? What did I say lame?
To start smoking cigars just to match the look and your background.
Oh,
probably. I
know. Game Changer is stop taking jabs. I know who he taking a jab at right there. Y'all gotta cut it out, man.
Yeah, but regarding smoking, I mean, Game Changer is out here in the Bay Area. I'm sure he has maybe now or in the past has smoked a little bit of something else.
Yeah, perhaps. But no, smoking is not my thing, and I'll never pick up the habit. It's too late in the game for me to pick up the habit. So no, I won't be doing it. But okay, moving forward. Game
Yeah.
changer came through with the jab. That was. I don't even know if you know who he's jabbing at, but go ahead. Go ahead.
So having kind of laid out that kind of area there, because this is about how to actually form. Deacon Dave is just he's going wild, but how to form new habits. The thing to notice here in terms of behavior, okay, because I like to look at things in a very granular way. So let's take it back. Like, just understand that you are getting overwhelmed by the prospect of you having to. Have you heard that thing? You can only manage what you can measure. Like, you can manage certain things that you can't measure, but it's better if you can measure it. You got a bakery and you want to improve the efficiency of your bakery. Then maybe you need to measure how much flour you're using and how many hours the people are working. And maybe you need to vary certain parameters, and then you manage it in order to get certain outcomes that you want, right?
Right. Hold on real quick. Lead attorney, I saw your email. I'm going to handle this right now while I got you here, just in case you're difficult to catch up with. I think he says I could do any day this week except for Tuesday. Oh, I got something scheduled for tomorrow. How's Wednesday? Let's do Wednesday. Let me know if you could do Wednesday right now. We could de facto schedule it right now and work out the details through emails later. But if we can just get a tentative agreement right now for Wednesday, that will work. Because he said you could do any day but Tuesday. Monday, I'm already got a scheduled person in for Monday. So let's do Wednesday. Let me know right now if you can do Wednesday. That would be perfect. And while I already interrupted you, Ike, might as well go ahead and shout out Deacon Dave again. He said in the photo is my father cigar. On mama's is an expression like on my mama. Oh, okay. Nobody says it like that. On mama's. I'm familiar with on my mama. On my granddaddy grave. That's what we say here. But nobody says on mama's. But shout out to you, Deacon Dave. Appreciate that. Game changer, behave yourself and stop taking jabs at people. He says,
lead attorney says Wednesday is perfect. But anyways, I'm sorry.
Yes, absolutely. Good. So I'll email you about the details about what we're going to be discussing, and I hope everybody comes armed with questions for the lead attorney. We about to pick his brain, and we about to get into everything. Those the allegedly airtight prenup that he said that's possible. We're gonna dig into all of that. We're gonna dig into all of that. We're gonna pick his brain, and you guys will behave yourself. I probably will open the panel and bring people up one at a time for questions. Because when I got the lead attorney in here, y'all are not going to niggify the panel. We're not going to do a niggified panel when I got the lead attorney in here. People can come up one at a time for questions. But all right, game changer in the building says smoking cigars for the look of it is lame. Who does that? Cut it out, game changer. Cut it out. All right. All right. Carry on, Ike. Carry on.
Yeah, so I was just saying that generally speaking, it is true that in order to get certain outcomes, you're going to need to measure things, okay? This also applies for outcomes outcomes in your personal life, okay? New habits you're trying to form. You're trying to get a better credit score. You're trying to be better with your finances, increase those savings, perhaps invest, perhaps lose some weight, be more healthy, so on and so forth, improve your diet. The thing that makes it such, okay, and we understand the correlation between attention not being paid and improvements not being made. In other words, there's just a correlation. But I'm saying that you're in a position right now where somebody out there is in a position right now where the reason why you're not going out there to look at that scale, if this is your particular struggle, it's a ubiquitous struggle. Even if you're in shape, you need a system of managing that weight, especially unless if you're those skinny people naturally skinny people whom are very annoying to me. But
I can't stand them. I literally, there's nobody that I hate on. I don't hate on anybody, but those people who can just eat whatever they want and not gain weight, but they still, if they understand that they just hit the genetic lottery or have a really fast metabolism, if they have an understanding of it, that's great. But when you show me a person like that who looks at other people in judgmental, shaming. No, I don't even like the word shaming. Calling people fat, but they're eating more than the fat person, and I can see you eating more than a fat person, and you don't work out. you just hit the genetic lottery. Oh man, they get on my nerves. They get on my nerves. If they're self-aware that they hit the genetic lottery, no problem. If they're not self-aware about it, I got a serious problem with them. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, so East Africans, for example, well, not all East Africans, because Kenya's also in the East, but let's say the Ethiopians, let's say maybe the Habesha people and certain other tribes over there, they tend to have that kind of body type. The West Africans, right, what you may call the Bantu people, Nigerians and so on and so forth, which also then means African Americans, right? Because African Americans are, I don't know what the percentage is, but you guys are West Africans. Most of you are Nigerians, as a matter of fact. And we have that body type, broader shoulders, big, whatever. We can get really buff and all that kind of stuff. But the downside is you could get fat too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it sucks, but it is what it is. Shout out to the Habesha gang. I know Game Changer. I was gonna make memes while I was there in Ethiopia, calling out Game Changer and how jealous he may be of me right now, and take some pictures of some beautiful Habesha women out there. And anyways, I'm just jabbing back at Game Changer since he was jabbing at you. But anyways, it's a good jab. I know he likes the light skinned, right?
No, he wasn't jabbing at me. He was jabbing at somebody else. You referring to the cigar thing?
Yeah. No, but I know.
Yeah, there's individuals who he say allegedly don't smoke cigars. They just do it for the look on their show, just to have a cigar in their hand. There's there's one person, I think, shout out to Angry Man, who was who's the original, I believe, who was smoking cigars. But I think a lot of people followed the trend. And so I think he's criticizing those individuals who just rocking a cigar just because they saw one person do it and it looks cool and so forth and so on. And that's why I said cut it out with the jabs. But anyway.
Yeah, but I was just looking for an excuse, a circuitous route, whatever excuse to talk about Habesha women, Ethiopian girls, light skinned, just so I can talk about Game Changer. Because I just came from Ethiopia, as you guys know, for hanging out there for a little bit. So this person whom is struggling with their weight right now, right? I'm telling you, this is a hopeful message, okay? I can get on my Martin Luther King voice. This is a hopeful message, ladies and gentlemen, that you can. You can. Anyways.
That wasn't bad either. That wasn't bad. So, little known fact about me, I actually portrayed Martin Luther King in a play before. This was many moons ago. So I do a good Martin Luther King impression that I will never do on the air. Anyway, carry on.
Nice. So I'm saying, look, don't worry, okay? There are two things that you need to do here. Number one, you need to get comfortable with looking at the problem, because that's step number one, right? That's part of the fear. Is people don't like to look at the problem, okay? People don't want to. We do that thing. It's like how kids. There's a crazy psychological where you make up a monster in your closet, but magically somehow when you cover yourself with your blanket, somehow this monster.
Oh yeah. No, actually, my woman, somewhere in her mind, she honestly believes that if her foot, like if this is a cover, if her foot is hanging out of the cover when she sleeps, some monster is going to grab her foot and drag her into the the further in the Insidious movies, going to drag her into the further, I think they called it, the land of the ghosts where the dead is walking around. She's going to get dragged into that realm if she lets her foot hang out of the cover. So yeah, no, it's a real thing. Something that the bedspread, the cover is it has magical protective qualities. Absolutely, yes.
Yep. Those monsters, they're like monsters coming like the cover, like damn, I can't, I almost got him. Damn spreadsheet,
Yeah.
pesky.
Yeah.
Point is, there is a fear, and then people hide from looking at the problem. That's one thing. So number one, become comfortable with looking at the problem. Number two, don't be afraid or overwhelmed by the prospect of you having to manage this whole thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to manage a weight loss process. No, all I'm saying is go buy a scale and simply just stand on it every day and watch what happens. Go find a spreadsheet where you kind of look at the amount of money you have coming in and the amount going out plus your expenses, so on and so forth, and just look at that every month. Look at that when the paycheck comes in. Like, don't worry about, oh, I'm gonna have to adjust my spending habits and so. Just look at it. Okay, go freecreditreport.com, right? Go ahead, Experian.com, sign up for credit, whatever, and just look at that every day or 2 weeks or something like that. So for me, I have a routine. Okay, I look at personal credit score, corporate credit score, all the bank accounts, right? 401k, this, that, Robinhood account, investment, blah, 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 every day.
Every day?
So this is every day.
Woo.
It's insane, I know. But when you make things automatic and when you make them habits, they're easier to do, right? So I just know automatically when I come and I just sit down in front of my desk, what I do. First thing I do is that whole financial check, right? I weigh myself also every morning, right? Other things that I like that I check. I don't, and magically, these things just improve. It's not magic, as we've described. It says that we're outsourcing the work to our elephant, to our unconscious mind, because that unconscious mind can then give us that whole, is going to create this feedback loop of positive reinforcement, where it's like, it wants the scale to go down, it wants the bank account to go up, it's going to watch us because it is us. It is 99.99999% of us. It's going to make it such that, hey, don't do that, or maybe do this. We want to wake up tomorrow and see a low number on the scale. So that is mainly what I want to say. And I think you can kind of open up the panel now, because I think that the whole point here when it comes to this particular way of coming up with new habits is don't be a micromanaging CEO. You have a whole company there called yourself, your unconscious being. Again, it regulates your pH, it does homeostasis, regulates your temperature, oxygenates your blood, beats your heart. It's also responsible for the movie that's running in your head right now. It plays out the thoughts. It interprets the language for you. It is very competent. It drives the car, rides the bicycle. Stop being a micromanager. All you need to do as the CEO, and by the way, moderators, you guys have not been spamming my channel in the chat. I think this is a travesty.
Come on.
This is unacceptable. But all you need to do is simply turn the elephant towards the direction of improvement by simply paying attention. The only habit you need to form is the habit of paying attention. Okay, so don't be afraid of looking where the problem is, because that's one fear. Like, I don't want to look over there. I don't want to look at the weight. Oh, it's going to be horrible. Don't worry about it. And then also don't feel overwhelmed that you're going to have to implement some kind of a program. Don't worry. All you need to do is look. And when you look, things start happening. Things start flowing downhill. 8 months from now, all of a sudden you're in a different place and your weight has dropped all the way down. You've also inculcated some new habits. Let's say, for example, you're looking at your credit score every day, or shall we say every week, so now you're not a crazy person like me or something like that.
Yeah.
First thing you're gonna notice is maybe you're gonna say, okay, well, I'm just seeing this number, seeing every day, every week. And then next thing you're gonna be like, well, let me look to see what this other thing in the page says about the fine print. It says, okay, a big part of it is my utilization of credit in terms of, should I open a credit card? The site says over here that I can get, okay, let me get one card. Maybe I need to get a secured credit card, right? You do that and you run that program. Later on, you're gonna learn, okay, it also helps if I have a low utilization of credit, so I try to keep it under 30%. That's a big chunk of what your credit score is to keep your utilization of the credit under a certain percentage. You learn that, and then you move. In other words, if I came to you and be like, oh, do A, B, C, D, E, F, and all this stuff, you feel overwhelmed. But if I simply just told you, start looking at your credit score, the rest will happen. I trust that in 6 months, if you consistently look at your credit score, you'll know all these things I just told you, right? I mean, don't you agree?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. No, it's not a bad idea. It just was more than what I thought was. See, my thought process is your credit is not going to change from day to day. That's why I just did my every 2 week thing, just because I might see something different, in 2 weeks. I think it's every month that you actually see a change. I'm not even 100% sure on that. I should be sure because I look enough. But I've been slacking on looking lately because it's been steady, consistent themes every time I look. But it is a different next level of habit forming and habit building to look every day. But Deacon Dave back in here on Mamas, he said, "Say it again, Bernard." See, I thought you were saying these old mamas, like Brother Xavier, but he said on mamas. Shout out to Deacon Dave. Appreciate you.
Yeah, let's go, man. I got $2 for you, man. I know I'm a little short, but you can.
Of Seed is in the building for the very engaging. I think he means for the. Oh wait, what? Oh no, okay, I see. So for the very engaging Bernard and Ike show discussions. Thank you. And for the $10 contribution, yes, we get to see it today.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything? Everything.
Shout out to the $10 nation. Truth is in the building. What's going on? Welcome to the show. You got the floor. You got the mic, and then everybody sub to Ike if you're not over there. Sub to Ike already. I'm trying to spam it out in chat. I think Google moderators be deleting stuff now. I don't exactly know how it works when people drop the link in there. I heard somebody they said that when they dropped my Patreon information, Google was deleting it, but I don't really know. I don't know how it works, but oh, and Game Changer want the link. That's cool, right? Let me get that link to Game Changer. But go ahead, Truth. You got the floor. You got the mic. Truth going once. Truth going twice.
You're muted, Truth.
Nope. Sold to Game Changer. Go ahead, Game Changer.
Okay, yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about the sacrifice thing, or what Ike was calling fasting, or avoiding dopamine thing. So when you look at the cultures, I want to point out how the Roman culture really understood the necessity of sacrifice because of their religious structure. Pre-Christianity or pre-Catholic Church was based solely on sacrifice. Every time they get something, they had a victory, they made a sacrifice. This comes from their Trojan roots. And even though it probably was useless to, in fact, it almost certainly was, because I'm not pagan, but it almost certainly was useless to sacrifice a great bull every time you have a small victory. It does do something to the individual psyche to know that you don't get something without sacrificing something. And this goes for exercise. Bernard, you say that you're on the elliptical regularly and things like that. You don't get the body you want without sacrificing something. It's basically the Romans' way of instilling into the population, or the Roman citizenry, that how can I say this? That nothing is free. No matter what station in life you are, nothing is free. And, with that understanding, created a system of discipline. And as a result of that, they became great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to add to that, Ike?
I think sacrifice. I think that Game Changer is on point on that. Sacrifice and delayed gratification. These are things that, if you were to take an evolutionary point of view, or if you just look at the ecosystem in general, right? There are animals that do that. In other words, that delay gratification, that kind of plan things, even all the way from like ants, even. They
Right.
don't do it consciously. So this is something that we've learned coming up to be Jordan Peterson about it ever since we were lobsters. Okay, coming up, we've kind of there's certain things that work in this space, in reality, in this universe, and being a living thing. It seems to be the case that if I delay my gratification, there's a way of bargaining with reality such that if I give it something now, it'll give me something later. We also learn too, just to add to what Game Changer says, is that we can sow seeds, let's say in other people. That sounds a little strange. But what I'm saying is that if you help out, the good hunter, or if you help out someone in the tribe, you can then get reciprocal help later on down the line. It's another different way of kind of doing that bartering, exchanging, delaying gratification, sacrificing, so on and so forth. So it's something that we understood just physiologically and then automatically. But when you become human beings, okay, you now have to rely a little bit more on the conscious mind. And before we were able to say, oh, well, dopamine and this and delayed gratification and think about it, right? Maybe put a flow chart about how it works out psychologically. We simply started acting out this thing about let's give sacrifice to the gods. Like there's something you get before we were able, even pre-verbally, if you look at certain other mammals, okay, this is also in line with it in terms of the big rat letting the little rat win, because they understand that in order for the game to continue, in order for things to last out for the long time, and the whole point is, for people who don't know this, is like when the big rat and little rats play, when the big dog and little dog play, when mammals play, the big dog or the big rat lets the little rat win a certain number of times, because if you don't let the little rat win, the game will stop. And guess what tends to then happen? The little rat will gang up with other little rats or little other chimps or something like that and come back and kill you, okay? These things are kind of like the precursors to morality. This happens a lot in chimp society, where if the dominant chimp does not play well because he can kick everybody's ass, right? Mm-hmm. He gets ganged up on later and torn to shreds by lesser chimps, if you will. So even before we got to this level of being able to act it out, because the way I think it goes is, you have it in kind of the animal kingdom, and then it goes into the world of just acting out, like in terms of sacrifices. We don't know what we're doing. And then it goes into stories, and then now it goes into scientific concepts of like, oh, what exactly are these principles? So yeah, 100% agree with what Game Changer says.
Yeah, I like how you point that out among animals who are operating at a lower functioning level than us. There's de facto systems of morality hardwired into them, even though they don't analyze it. They don't, as you say, stroke their beards and think about it, but it's there. And that's, I'm doing a little bit of foreshadowing about my my evolution debate with SKC of how yeah, hopefully we probably won't even end up talking about God and morals and all of that, but it ends up coming into the conversation. And what you're explaining is how morality could be hardwired into us without it necessarily having to be in all-knowing, all-moral lawgiver imposing rules on us. If we wish to survive, we would have to understood that thou shalt not kill even before it was put on stone tablets and handed to us by Moses. But anyway, that's a whole nother debate. But I like what you explained right there about the rats and the monkeys and all of that stuff right there. Definitely good stuff.
Since you mentioned morality, okay, because morality is it's an interesting. Well, anyone who likes philosophy gets into the whole moral debate, and beard strokers like myself and closet atheists, as you like to call us,
yeah,
say. But I think Jay Ibrahim got me right though. I am a strong theist, but just somewhere else on the map where I just don't. People don't have the same kinds of conversations I want to have, so I don't want to even talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So, the thing about morality, because some people talk about, well, if morality is about just let's say survival, why don't you just kill everybody and then survive? Or if morality is about feeling good, doing what's right and being happy, why don't you just shoot up heroin? The thing is, morality gets the list of choices that you have constricts down very narrowly when you look at the fact that it has to work for you and then for your family and then for the group and also through time, right? It's like if you just do heroin right now, you're screwing up your future self. Okay? If you just start killing people right now or don't let the little monkey win, they're gonna gang up on you and kill you. If you mess things up right, in other words, you have to look at it from a species level, from a time level. These things have to align. And when you look at it that way, the choices narrow down very, you're like, you have no choice but to, it's gonna be A, B, not like 1 to infinity. I could choose anything. I could do anything. It's like, nah, when you line it up like that, you're like, you know what? It just comes down to a couple of choices. And yes, these things get imposed on us by being itself.
I got a question for Game Changer now because I didn't ask you this the last time you were on. When you went to, I assume, the ghetto part of the ghetto to have sex with that woman with the house arrest ankle bracelet on, when you came back outside, was your car on blocks, on cinder blocks? It's curious.
Nah.
Okay.
It wasn't like that. I don't even remember if she lived in the ghetto part of town, but she probably did. I mean, like the house was like that. I do remember that, but I don't remember exactly where it was at. And I'm not above that. For those who think I am, I'm not above going to the hood or to the projects if I'm attracted to a chick to sleep with her. That's, I'll go to Richmond, I'll go to West Oakland, or if I'm attracted to them, I don't care about stuff like that.
Right on. Yep, been there, done that plenty of times. Been there, done that more times than I care to keep count with.
Yeah, well, we all have. I mean, that's just you don't let a woman's income, like the ankle bracelet was new. That was something like, you
didn't realize you had an ankle bracelet on until you had her both legs in the air, and you were like, oh, that's interesting.
No, she told me on the phone. She said, "I hope you don't mind. You got to come see me because I got an ankle bracelet on." So she told me on the phone, but it was a bit of a take back. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you think about, like, okay. But yeah, that's before the clarity, you're probably not thinking too much into that, and yeah, after the clarity, it's like, dang, what did I just do?
Yep. But all right, as far as what we were talking about, good habits, replacing bad habits with good habits, aside from just looking at the scale every day, looking at the credit report every day, looking at the spreadsheet every day. What would you say another thing that you do? Because you seem to be obviously somebody whose life is ordered quite well to the point to where you're probably doing a lot of things that you may consider basic, but you're just doing it on autopilot. And the rest of us more unorganized people could definitely definitely learn a thing or two. So what other thing could you throw out there that's a necessary thing to do as far as replacing your bad habits with the good?
Okay, so one overall thing is this, okay? Be a professional in everything. All right? And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? So this has to do with getting over sloth, resistance, procrastination, whatever it may be. Okay?
Quit being so personal, man. Quit being so. I'm just. You be talking about me when you be bringing up a lot of this stuff, but go ahead.
Be a professional. What am I trying to say here? So, professional electrician, professional plumber, whatever, they wake up, okay? Maybe, I don't know, you're a 9-to-5er working as a data entry clerk in the courthouse in Fontana, California. It doesn't matter. In that particular area of your life, what do? You go to a certain place, it's at a certain time, and you sit in a certain place, and you do a certain thing. This is something that for either an entrepreneur or someone who's creative, which tend to be the same type of person. You're creating a business or you're doing something creative. This is something that you have to learn or you'll fail in the sense that, look, I don't care if you have writer's block. I don't care if you don't feel like it. When 9 a.m. hits, let's say that's your time, you get your ass up, you go into that room, You sit on that gaming chair over there, you pull it up, and you start doing what you need to do, right? And then you do it from the 9 to 5 or whatever. You take a break. You are a professional in everything you do. The reason why I use the professional aspect is because we are at least professional in one area, right? That person going to do the data entry work in the courthouse in Fontana will wake up, they will go there, right? Even if they're lazy and a slob everywhere else in their life, right? They will do this kind of thing. But in other aspects of our life, we let it go. Now, this is not particularly easy, what I'm saying. What I'm saying, though, is that you inculcate the habits of a professional, and these things help you. In other words, having a desk and having a time, right? And this same thing applies. The whole point of not worrying about what you're going to do when you sit on that desk, don't worry about it. The same way I say, don't worry about how you're going to manage your weight loss process. Don't worry about it. Just go look at the scale. Same thing. Don't worry about what you're going to do when you sit on that desk to do that work. Just go sit on the desk the same way you do with your professional work. So being a professional about just about everything, right? So with my music, I have a system. With the YouTube thing, you have a system. You just replicate the professional way. You're like, okay, that's what, for example, I'm checking the credit score and all those bank accounts and everything every day. Why? Because it's easier. If I say every 2 weeks, if I would have to put it on a calendar that reminds me. But if it's an everyday thing, then it's just part of like, okay, I've sat down now on that chair and now it's time to look through those things. And then I start doing these other things. So I would say that using what we learn from our professional endeavors, or what professionals know generally speaking, is a great way of overcoming resistance. And I would also add this, like, look, resistance, what I'm calling resistance right now, which is procrastination, sloth, laziness. There's this other one too, where it's like when you're about to, I think it was the Odyssey, when you're about to also hit the last mile problem. People tend to slack off and mess things up in the last mile because they want to relax. Okay, this is another form of resistance. In other words,
I deal with that.
There you go. Resistance is a pain, and it comes in different forms. It's not just laziness or sloth. It's not just procrastination. It is something that tells you, and procrastination takes many forms. Let's say you want to sit down and write that book. It says, you know what? I said, you know what? How about we go downstairs first, make that nice omelet with that sausage and bacon that we got fresh from the farmer's market. Let's do that first, okay, before we do this. And generally speaking, you know what happens after you make that sausage. You're going to be like, you know what? How about we take a nap, right? Before then we do that. And next thing you know, boom, that whole day just went. This thing that blocks you from it's almost like a spiritual battle, okay? And it effectively is, because I'm a pragmatic kind of person, right? My belief is like, well, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, if it effectively is a duck, if it looks like an evil spirit, then I don't care about the ontological truth about whether or not it's an evil spirit or not. It's like, well, I'm just gonna treat it like an evil spirit. I'm gonna go to battle with it. And the reason why I say it is that spirit never goes away. Okay. In other words, you need to make friends with it. When you get up in the morning and go downstairs and make your cup of coffee, getting ready to go into that chair to work, you're gonna see resistance. Get ready. I mean, in other words, be like, hey there, resistance. Nice to see you again. How are the kids? Right? That thing that's blocked, like it's never going away is the aspect I'm pointing on right now. And I think that if you know that, then you can chill. It's gonna be by your side till you die. Every endeavor that's worth pursuing, and look, resistance doesn't stop you from playing video games, right? It doesn't stop you from doing things that will waste your time. That's why I say it's almost like a spiritual thing. It's almost like it's got a mind of its own. It's trying to block you from doing certain things, and it allows you to do other things. It's like this siren call telling you to go crash your ship into a rocky shore somewhere. So know that it is always there. It never goes away. Make friends with it. You wake up every morning on your way to that chair. It'll block you. Say, hey, resistance. Hey, procrastination. Hey, that person that says I shouldn't get up and do that. And then I'll go back to certain things also. And I know I'm mentioning quite a few. I said be a professional, number one. And then number two, understand that resistance is always there. Make friends with it. It's not going away. And I'm going to talk about something that I mentioned perhaps in the last stream or 2 streams ago, which is go ahead and be an assistant to your future self. If you know that it's a lot easier for you to roll out of bed and get in that chair, if you have let's say you take if you set up your clothes for working out in the morning before, that way it's easier for you to work out. If you set up your laptop in a certain way where you've set up the screen that the first thing you're gonna work on tomorrow, the screen is already set up, the desk is clear, right? Whatever it is that will make it easier for you to do the thing you need to do in the future, do it now. Be an assistant to your future self. And again, just to add this last point, you also gain self-esteem that way, because when you come in and either the dishes are clean and the gym clothes are laid out, your laptop is already set, the papers that you're supposed to work on are already on the table, you're gonna be like, you know what, that Bernard guy, he's a good guy. I like Bernard. Bernard takes care of me. Bernard doesn't make things hard for me. Because you have to look at yourself as a community, a past self, a future self, and a present self. And when your present self should always be looking to the future self and say, how can I make things easier for future Bernard? Or at least, how can I make things not hard for future Bernard? So, number one, be a professional. Understand that resistance is always there. Number two, make friends with it. It's not going anywhere. Say hi to resistance every morning. And then number three, make things easier for your future self by clearing out the path, removing the sources of friction, and so on and so forth.
Man, good stuff. Good stuff. Very true. Very true. Oh, go ahead, Game Changer, if you want to just jump in there on that one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. Because you mentioned, you mentioned one of the things I struggle with, and that is getting 90. And I told you about that privately, with the project I'm working on. So, getting about 90 to 99% there, and taking a victory lap when kind of like the rabbit that just kind of stops at the finish line, and then the tortoise beats it. So yeah, that's been something I struggled with my entire life. But you touched on sloth. I want to mention, it kind of brings us back to the deadly sins that lead us to sloth, which is gluttony. I think that's something that a lot of Americans deal with. I'm not talking about as it pertains to food. I'm talking about as it pertains to anything that gives a person satisfaction, whether it's video games, whether it's, in some cases for some people, food, whether it's just easy access to entertainment or things that makes it, even sex, overindulging in these things is gluttony. And that definitely leads to sloth. It because it came easy to you, so you become used to easy access, and that's where sacrifice comes in at. That's why you have to sacrifice something, so you don't get too comfortable,
satisfied. Exactly.
Yeah,
you want to
exactly.
be hungry.
Because
you want to be hungry.
Exactly, because that does lead to sloth, and that's probably like the worst of the deadly sins. I don't really see much wrong with revenge, but that's probably the worst of the deadly sins is sloth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't see nothing wrong with revenge. That's kind of funny.
I mean,
but there I said it. Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, lust is a form of gluttony too. So yeah, I can't say there is something wrong with that. At least the simping and and all kind of other stuff. So yeah, I mean, but revenge is like the least. It's like, come on now.
You gotta give me something to do, something to work with.
Yeah, I need a sin. Yeah.
Yeah. He said more of these streams are needed. There I said it says more of these streams are needed. The rise of the BM is imminent. Thank you very much. And Daryl L. II says, I have a mantra of being a smooth professional. Could you agree that being your professional self is an alter ego of ourselves or a higher level of control? Well said. I want to get Ike's opinion.
What do we get for $10?
Everything you want.
Everything?
Everything.
Shout out to you for that one. That was a good question. Hopefully Ike can give us something on that. The Mac the Trucker in the building says, salute brothers. I like these Sunday shows. This is the first one. I caught them live. This is better than the Baptist church. Keep it up. You know what? It's funny that you say that, better than the Baptist church. That is sort of the idea. Me being somebody, I haven't been many moons since I've been in church. I think people need more practical life information than a fire and brimstone theatrical performance from Pastor Pork Chop. And I so that is sort of the idea here. Let's give some practical Sunday information, because nowadays with Corona, well, I think churches are back open, but for a while church was online. So I'm like, hey, somebody should be tapping into that same market of giving people some information they could use on a Sunday as well. That's not they don't got a bunch of well, okay, I'm not going to take a crap on the church or religiosity or super. Okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But I know my problems with the church, particularly the black church. I know my issues with that. But shout out to you, the Mac the Trucker. Appreciate it. But Ike, to that other question that was put out there, what game changer? You was trying to jump in?
No. After the question.
Okay, yeah. You can go ahead and answer the second part of that one right there. He says that being your professional self is an alter ego of ourselves or a higher level of control. I just thought that was an interesting concept. I don't know if anybody wants to respond to that, or if Ike wants to chime in on that.
Look, I look at especially yourself, but also reality as just a set of Russian nesting dolls. It's like there is no core, if you will, right? And I'm gonna do this. Okay, so let me answer the question and then kind of expand a little bit upon it. I think, to answer the question, let me kind of paint a picture. Like people say, be yourself, for example. And well, which self? The self that has dinner at Thanksgiving with my parents, the self that is at the job, the self that sits and plays video games, the self that is in court, arguing for my life. These are very different modes, very different perceptual frameworks, very different behaviors leading to very different outcomes. Okay, what is this kind of myself core type thing? So definitely it is a question of levels of perception control with regards to outcome as well. And also, there's something that people do where it's like, let's say they say, for example, I don't want a woman that wants me for my money, but I want to get her with my mouthpiece. There is a weird kind of disconnect where they think that their money is somewhere out there, but their mouthpiece is close to them. Now, I'm not picking on this particular group of people in particular. What I'm saying is people have this weird idea of what makes them who they are, right? And they choose, okay, they pre-select certain attributes, certain content to say, well, this is me. But those other ones, that's not me. But it's like the clothes that you wear, is that you or not you? Okay, the money that you make, your behaviors, your attitudes, your habits, is that you or not you? Why do you pick mouthpiece as part of you, but your money is not part of you? People do that kind of thing, like, I want you to love me for me. That complicates the landscape, but I like to complicate the landscape because then it leads you back to ask fundamental questions. But I think that it's all just nesting doll within doll within doll. You can keep on going down and down or up, and understanding how this works, but that there is one layer, which is called the observation mode, the one that watches, in other words. That is the most thing that you need. That's the thing that you most need to pay attention to and cultivate. In other words, that is what masters your subjective consciousness. Your subjective consciousness or yourself is just a chaos of internal activity, feeling in the body, image in the head, talk in the head. Your outward projections are also the same kind of chaotic thing. You have a story, you have clothes that you wear, you have a style, you have a culture that you're born into, you have a certain height, you have a certain body type, you have a name, you have a complexion. All this stuff is all just out there. The only thing that you kind of have control of is your ability to perceive. And that's all I'll say about that.
All right. Top Dog USA Cat says, keep America alive, my brothers from some others. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. I think he says he's from Cuba. He said he's Cuban or from Cuba. Shout out to you. Thanks for coming on through. Appreciate the super chat. The Mac the Trucker in the building. He says Bernard First Ebenezer Ebenezer Baptist Ebenezer Missionary Baptist Church. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Yes, this is Sunday Assembly. It was actually an atheist organization. Basically, it was an atheist organization where they realized that they missed going to church because they liked the community and the fellowship. So they started something called Sunday Assembly, where they basically just got together and, somebody would speak, and they did a lot of the same stuff. They sung songs, not religious songs, but inspirational songs, had music, got together, they ate afterwards, they did the whole church thing just without all the Jesus-y stuff. But anyway,
I like that. That's dope.
yeah. Sunday. It was called Sunday Assembly, but yeah, shout out to the Mac the Trucker. Go ahead, Truth. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Truth, right quick.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
because you can talk all night long, all night.
Oh my God. I see what you did there, Game Changer. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I gotta get a haircut. Y'all niggas killing me.
No, don't get rid of that. You got to keep that. You got to keep that.
You got to. Like, I'm not in the light skin. I am in the Ethiopians. Ethiopians are the most beautiful. Eritreans, they're just like ridiculous. But I'm not in the light skinned girls like that. See, you have a group of women who use dark skinned women who use reverse psychology on people. They say you only like light skinned girls because because the white man tells you this or the white man tells you that, or you've been conditioned. So they're using reverse psychology to get you to in turn be attracted to dark skinned women or them. So I don't appreciate stuff like that. So I made the song and everything like that to poke back at them. It's not a fetish of mine being light skinned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's facts though. That is facts. So to what Ike had said, by the way, what's up, Ike? Every time I see you, it's dope. It sounded a lot like that Freudian shit, the ego, the id, and the super ego. Honestly, like it sounded like basically like what you called the watcher. That shit was on.
Get your dog back there licking his balls on camera. Is he?
Hey, good times.
You chilling now? Look, you chilling.
All right.
It's done. Finished.
All right.
But yeah, the ego, the id, and the super ego. Basically, the conscious, the subconscious, and then all three. The super ego is supposed to be like what you relate to as yourself, and then the ego is actually all three. Now, the concept of like the watcher sounds like the super ego, which is super interesting because whether you're Freudian or not, or like you care about the psychological terms, the premise is what is important because it sounds like a perennial philosophy. The idea that multiple people throughout time and throughout thousands of years apart will discover the same truth, and that means it's something very innate to just the living experience. And it's important because once you become aware of it, it becomes all that there is. But until you begin to even try to master it, you really are just like this lost piece of leaf in the wind. And it's funny because the moment you do start to engage with it, as you call it, the watcher more, you see your past as nothing but like this very formulaic. And even still, you don't necessarily realize that all of a sudden now the formula ceases, but now you're in control of the formula. Now you're like manipulating yourself with the formula. Or in other words, like you de-romanticize things. And I think this actually very apropos connects right to the feminine masculine dynamic because I think this is inherently masculine. I do not think it's feminine to do this, right? I think it is the consequence of trying to survive, really. It's like the peak evolutionary point where you are mastering your environment even internally. Like you're treating, that's how I actually started relating it to it lately when I do it, is I treat my mind like it's anything I'm trying to invent or any task I'm trying to solve or any puzzle I'm trying to figure out. Instead of letting it get emotional and get chaotic, it's like, no. Literally become the robot, so to speak, right? Become the android and just, but you don't want to be completely, and that's the funny part is when you go full scale, you're not necessarily throwing the emotions out. What you're doing is recognizing that the peak of the emotions is when you're satisfied, and then you're mathematically figuring out how to get yourself satisfied. And you just like must commit to that, because if you do the feminine, if you sacrifice the logical for the emotional, you'll never ironically have happy emotions, which is why women depend on men to be happy. It makes a lot of sense. Like, men can be happy without women. They'll just be bored and kind of like, damn, I wish there was something to fuck. Like, let's keep it a buck. But we could still be happy. That's actually really deep. Whereas I think women would always be miserable. They'd always be miserable. And they kind of always are miserable, because if you can't ever be fulfilled and you're always an emotional being, you're cursed, right? That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so it's probably less common to even find that nowadays, because of the height of single motherhood, because of the height of feminine energy, and the lack of, because it's really just discipline. And then it's a higher cerebral level. It's a more intelligent form of discipline. Stoicism a bit.
All right, on good stuff. Good stuff. We got Black TV. Is that Era Black TV? Are you the same person? Is that
No.
Okay? I see somebody around in here in this space that says the name is, I think, Era Black TV, but I saw Black TV. I didn't know if that was the same person or not. But either way, welcome to the show. About to pass the mic to you next. But shout out to Mike and Vince Perkins says, great panel, fellas. Support from the brothers Perkins. Shout out to you. Daryl L in the building. That was dope. Truth. Here you go. Appreciate you. All right, Black TV. You got the floor. You got the mic.
I'm just waking up Sunday morning feeling good. Sunny Texas weather is doing really good. I'm listening to your content for a little bit, Riley, and I kind of ran into you a couple of times on various platforms, and I appreciate you guys opening the floor for a discussion in brotherhood. So,
right on. You got anything you want to add to the conversation? Anything in response to what you've heard thus far?
Well, I think in terms of the light skin, dark skin thing, I mean, of course, as you can see,
you black than a motherfucker.
Yeah. So, in the younger ages, I think Maya was my Mariah Carey, young Mariah Carey. I'm talking about pull-up jean jacket Mariah Carey. I was that guy. As I got older and my, I just got more experience, and I realized that every woman had their own virtues, and then I ran into tragic mulattoes, and I hate to say it like that, but we all know a couple of tragic mulattoes, and it just, like I said, when you finally educate yourself and finally become secure in yourself, you realize what's most valuable, and that's on the inside and what's in here. And that's really the importance, no matter the skin color. Now, as black men, we need to definitely have more considerations to our sisters. But like I said, each individual has the right to choose what race they want. So if I wanted to add something, just, that would be it.
Now, let me ask you this. How considerate is being fat? Like, how considerate are they to us to where we have to give them more consideration?
Oh man, it is very considerate.
Huh? So it's safe to say that they're 80% inconsiderate, right? If they're 80% overweight or obese.
I'm with you, game changer, but at the same time, I feel like, and here's the thing, I'm becoming more sexist, so I'm not saying all men should have my point of view. This is just, I don't expect women to ever be until men on the whole are leading. You will not find any woman doing what she's supposed to do. So we can't even expect them to ever. If a woman does manage her shit, it's probably because she has a strong man in her life. Like there was somewhere along the line a man who checked her,
or because she seeks a strong man in her life. Which brings the question, how considerate is it to be fat? Because you say that we should give them special consideration, but what consideration is given, from them?
Your confusion is not rational. She's a healthy female of breeding age.
Well, I mean, the key word is healthy, though. Like, you know, Arnold, like, is she a healthy female? Like, is the question. So I see where you're going there. Like, on the surface, if we were talking about the 70s Soul Train dancers, you know, with the afro and with the fist pick on it, then that's one thing. But we're not talking about those women. Like, do they deserve special consideration? Is the question. Do modern women deserve special consideration?
Well, I think you definitely have to consider weight. I mean, you're talking about heart disease. You're talking about the development of your seeds. You're also talking about healthy habits, dedication. These are things that are red signs. That, you know, I don't have the same expectation over Samoans as I do as Black women. You know, naturally they come in different forms and flavors. But in terms of Black women, when I see a woman who is without a child and at a certain weight, it's a red sign to me that says, okay, you're not dedicated towards something. Your outer appearance, your social status, you're just kind of just going through the motions, and then that leads into entitlement, and then it's just red flag. So yes, it is consideration. You have to consider a woman's size because it sends red flags towards other things in life.
No, but what I'm saying is, you say you talk about special consideration, right? And you also talk about like kind of like this affirmative action approach, like, you know, oh, a Samoan only has to weigh this much, or a Black woman. No, I mean, I say maintain a set standard for all races of women. You know, now I don't expect every woman to be as beautiful as an Ethiopian, you know, genetically, but as far as like lifestyle and, you know, effort placed towards securing my penis, I expect equal effort from all races and all ethnicities in all intersections, because you mentioned mulatto, of these ethnicities, to make an equal effort towards it. I do.
Real quick. Hold on before you respond. I got to step away for a second, guys. I'll be able to hear the conversation. So y'all go ahead and have at it.
Well, when I spoke of Samoans, I think it's just the general trait of the race. You know, we expect Japanese women to be a certain stature and size. I'm not saying that Samoans don't get a pass on that. I'm just being very generalized on traits. Black women kind of gotten beyond the point where they say we're curvous and vivacious and all this stuff, and I'm just like, look, that's not going to fly.
Exactly.
And so when I say, do I give special consideration? No, I don't give special consideration. I am dead serious about how when I look at you, you need to fit the world. You need to be in shape. You need to at least have it doesn't have to be perfectly toned and perfectly, it has to be a habit. Are you taking these walks? Are you doing, usually there's red flags, and that's.
Yeah. I agree with that. And yeah, I just want to clear that up, because once you start giving special consideration, they start hitting you with, you know, trauma stories and I'm the descendant of blah, 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 and suffering and slavery. And then I hit them with the fuck your damage, where's my sandwich? You know, because like at the end of the day, no matter what your history is, you still got to perform as a woman, like, period.
And
accountability is inherently masculine. So it's ironic because they mean masculine traits, but they're still very fucking feminine. They're women. They're women.
Agreed.
And in this day and age, we have so many outlets. We home gyms. We have parks that are designed for earth space. We really, out of shapeness is really just another sign of just being culpable in this society.
Well, it's sloth. We talked about that earlier. It's sloth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that they'll put into your children.
Yeah, exactly.
It is so one of the things, and I think that you mentioned this at eBlack TV, which is discipline, which is something that I think that a lot of women don't understand. And since we're talking about women, I'm just going to address myself to them now. That a woman generally, I talked about the experiential part of things. In other words, that the woman is that thing that makes the house a home. It tends to be experiential. It's emotional. It's more egalitarian. It's social. It's a little flighty. It's a little, you know, it's not the bricks of the house. Mm-hmm. It is something else. Now, for a man to deal with that takes a certain amount of effort. Just a regular, nice, well-behaved, well-trained woman. It takes effort to deal with that kind of experiential, flighty type of, not solid, not fixed. I want a better cave, and I want another better cave, hypergamy, whatever you may call it, right? That is what they are. No shade, no judgment, as they say, right? But the thing is, when you add indiscipline on top of that, then you have just completely wrecked your chances with any man worth his salt. It's like, first of all, I gotta deal with a woman, and I gotta deal with an unruly, indisciplined woman. Get the hell out of here. Like, that's just a recipe for chaos. You're already chaotic, okay? And that's kind of why I like you, because we got to remember, we like women because they're women, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of comes with the whole package. That whole extension thing they do, the getting of the, I use the example of, getting the cloth and wrapping it around themselves and, making this look nice and then dancing around the fire while you eat the meat or whatever. That's why we like them. It's a little chaotic to begin with. Hence, we require discipline, because an unruly, indisciplined woman is disaster to any man.
Yeah.
It'll fuck everything up.
Yeah. And it'll reflect on how they raise their children also. If they're complacent with McDonald's, then guess who's going to eat McDonald's for the next 6 to 17 years? Their children.
Right.
So,
yeah. It's a disease that can affect the family. And it does affect the family, for generations to come.
I want to circle back to something that Truth said. Because Truth said that damn, I forgot exactly how you worded that. You said something along the lines of they will act right if they're under the leadership of a decent of a man who's a good leader. It sounds like you were saying if more men were just leaders, then the women would just automatically or the women would just act right. That's something that you say that a lot, and I think Game Changer. Game Changer responded by saying, yeah, but they have to seek out leaders. It seems as if a lot of times you don't average into the equation, and this is a reoccurring flashpoint on the show that women are free. so men in this country, the percentage of men who are decent leaders, it becomes a moot point when the women are free to not get under leadership. Like going back to I don't know the exact reason why it's a less than 1% divorce rate in Nigeria. I assume when I hear that the women are at some level forced to be under the leadership of a man. I could be dead wrong, but let's just go with the idea and notion of that. If you give women that you agree that they're chaotic, if you give them full liberties, creative control to either get under the leadership or not get under the leadership, or get under the leadership and say, man, this is really uncomfortable having to, walk this way, talk this way, act this way, and I don't like this. I would rather be, I would rather be fat and eat McDonald's and have sex with whoever I want, whenever I want. I would rather do that. That feels it feels better. It's more comfortable. It's, and the society is set up in a way to where I can get all my basic needs met and have electricity, water, a roof over my head, and be overweight and reckless. Why would I want to get under the leadership of a man? But it seems like you're saying that, if more men were just leaders, they would just act right. But no, I think you have to average that factor into the equation that they are free and got the benefits and are ultimately incentivized in many cases to not get under the leadership. You see that's the factor that has to be averaged into the equation whenever we're analyzing what women are doing in the Western world. I mean, me and Ike did a whole series trying to say how, in light of this Western world, with the way everything is set up, how could men rein this in without some iron fist changing laws, doing it by force? How could it get reined in? And so that is go ahead. I think I threw enough out there.
I think I totally respect where you're coming from. My thing is, I feel like men are not present in the leadership role in the community spaces at all, and so that's why women have replaced them in leadership roles, and it's a consequence of I have a various theories on
Hold on, wait. What do you mean by present in leadership roles in the community? Because it's one thing, communal leadership is another thing when we're talking about interpersonal relationship leadership. Men can get communal and build foundations and organizations. This goes back to something that a conversation Game Changer had when he was on Irene's channel, where she was describing community leadership or communal collective leadership is basically men doing things community-wise to help women be more comfortable in their single motherhood and dysfunction. Yeah. So
I'm talking more about like outreach for children, outreach for
yeah, that's it. That's what helps them be more comfortable being reckless, you see?
No, I'm talking about, okay, so to me, and this is just my perspective, my concept on it is that a leader is someone, and this is actually even comes ironically from the sociological science that people are quoting when they start calling people alpha, beta, this. Mm-hmm. Like the traits of an alpha male is that he doesn't listen to anyone, he's stubborn, he's competitive for first place, and he takes responsibility for the group. Mm-hmm. So it's the combination of all those ingredients. And right now, you do not see people taking responsibility for the group. It's not that you need to be a beta and care what they say, but you still need to feel responsible for their well-being. Otherwise, you're Sigma. Otherwise, you just go your own way and don't care. So the concept is, regardless of how chaotic anyone in society is, a man is supposed to lead that society by any means, because he takes the blame. No, you don't get to blame women. You don't get to blame children. You blame men. And so as a consequence of that actual fact, if it all goes to hell, we don't get to point at women and go, you guys weren't, desiring of male leadership enough.
Right. So I do blame, I'll pass it to somebody else, but I do blame men because it was ultimately men who bent to the will or the whim of what women ultimately wanted, and they did whatever they could to make a society that makes it easier or gives them the freedom and the choice to be whatever they want to be, reckless or not reckless, and then ultimately it was men who created the social safety nets to catch them when they get reckless. And so you do got to put it back on men in that regard. Ike, you look like you wanted to jump in.
Well, just wanted to add to fortify and buttress what Mr. Truth here is saying, is that you said one aspect of it, which is that yes, you have to blame men, given the history, the timeline, and so on and so forth. How did this happen? But also, blame can only reside in certain places. In other words, it's like you don't blame the lion for eating the zebra. You know what I mean? Like, blame can only reside in certain places. You can't blame nature or chaos or women. You can't, because it doesn't compute. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
No.
Go ahead, Game Changer.
No, I get what Truth and Ike are saying, but see, here's the thing. Like in the Art of War, they write about how if a general gives a command and the soldier obeys and the war is lost, then it's the fault of the general. If a general gives a command and the soldier does not obey and the war is lost, then it's the fault of the soldier. These bitches are out of line, then, and they're not obeying the command and getting my sandwiches, then it's your fault that the war is lost, period. Yes, I understand you could beat your chest and say, I'm a general and, it is my duty. I must, commit seppuku because I lost. It's like, no, I told this motherfucker to do this and he didn't do it. Like you could call the soldier a coward or whatnot, but the truth of the matter is I told you to do this and you didn't do this. So woman, when I tell you I have to get me a sandwich and you don't get it and everything goes to crap, then that's your fault. Period. Next time, get the sandwich.
Can I reply to what you said, Bernard?
Yes, go ahead.
Appreciate it. So when I was talking about the community leadership, by the way, Big Mac just dropped a hilarious and on point super chat.
Oh yeah, I didn't even read it. Two things can be true at the same time. There are
not making the soldier prepared. If I tell this man to shoe a horse and put 4 nails in it, and he put 2, and the horse flip over, that's his dumbass fault. And I lost the war because of that. What do you mean prepare him? I gave him the nails and I gave him the shoe. No,
but wait, that flies in contrast to what that book is saying in that passage. It's literally suggesting the opposite of what you just said. You blame
I'm talking about what media is talking about.
With media, who is me? Where?
Somebody in the chat room.
Okay, you were responding to something in the chat. Okay, that must have triggered. You just okay. Hold on.
I know you know
the
this,
general.
Game
I see what he's
Changer.
saying. Still, the general's fault. Just to get context of what Game Changer was responding to. Still, the general's fault for not making sure the soldiers are prepared.
What you're doing now, what he's doing now is he's stacking the deck. No, he's stacking the deck now. He's basically giving a scenario. No, I'm talking about just some coward ass soldier or lazy soldier or whatnot. You are stacking the deck and say it's somehow the general's fault. You're the reason. Like you one of these soldiers that think you could do whatever you want and blame the general. I'm glad that Carter smacked that one soldier. Why? Because he's not gonna put up with no coward stuff during the wartime, and he got punished for it. You know, it's stuff like that. It's people like you that look to blame the generals for a soldier's ineptitude. No, they supply you with all the stuff.
Game changer. I think that there may be a slight confusion here between fault and responsibility, because I think I also made a mistake by saying, you can't put blame on. Like, it's not about blame; it's about responsibility. Right? If Jeff Bezos hits you, I use this example all the time. Jeff Bezos hits you with a truck. He is at fault. He gives you $1 billion. You are still responsible for going to the physical therapy, going to the psychotherapy. You're still responsible for healing yourself. No matter how much you try to blame Jeff Bezos, ask for reparations from whomever, say this, that, blah, blah, blah. Responsibility is about action and the ability to take action and make change. And with regards to this, the ability to action and take action, make change, and accountability, all that kind of stuff, is heavily weighed on the male side of things. Is all I'm trying to say.
No, I get what you're saying.
That was
y'all see what he's doing. Y'all see what he's doing. I apologize, Bernard. So somebody said I interrupted the super chat.
You so did. Well put. But you're saying you did not train him. I mean, I understand what everybody is saying, that it does fall back on men. That's why when I go down that route of putting it back on men, I look at men from the perspective of a generation of men in power, more or less bent to the will and have consistently been bending to the will of women, giving them politically, socially, everything they want, to where they have now freedom and control to do whatever they want, however they want, whenever they want, in a social safety nets to catch them if they fall. And then to look at the men out on the ground who are essentially soldiers on the battlefield too, that are fighting in a war, to just stick with the metaphor, they're fighting in a war where the generals, meaning the people that are in power, who made laws to enable female chaoticness, so it's not even just blaming the generals who made the rules. You're blaming the soldiers on the ground because they're fighting with soldiers who were ultimately given full carte blanche to be as chaotic and reckless and unorganized as they want to be. And you're asking the soldiers on the ground, you need to do a better job at organizing these people who we have enabled and incentivized to be unorganized and chaotic. So it's kind of a weird thing when you do put it on a man. Now, an individual man in his personal life can beat his chest and put his foot down. One of these chaotic female soldiers, if they're going to be fighting beside me, behind me, or with me, they're going to act and march and do exactly like this. So an individual man can order that in his own life. But if the whole of the female soldiers, to go with the war analogy, are out of order and chaotic and are incentivized by the generals, and in this case, the generals are the men who made the laws that enabled them to be chaotic, I don't think you can blame the male soldier on the ground. It's not his fault. But it is a society that is ordered in a certain way that incentivize the out of order chaoticness. So
a war was waged. A literal, like, I feel, and I've heard you talk about an actual war was waged. When you really look at the past and like what happened on so many multiple fronts, you had feminism, you had the war on drugs, you had just the competitive nature of competing tribes when segregation ends, like just natural nature. You don't even have to add racism. Like literally just it's natural for people to be tribal and you desegregate. All kinds of shit. So when you really look at the consequence of this war on multiple fronts that was being fought against masculinity, you find a bunch of single mothers raising new generations of boys with no father in the house, with feminism teaching them how to think while they educate their kids. And it's like now it's in universities, it's gender studies, it's a fucking now it's a whole fucking ideology. Now it's a whole It's incredible. And so it's a real war. We got to give credit to soldiers get killed sometimes. You know, like we have taken damage and it's crazy because it's kind of creepy because I don't want to get too conspiratorial to how this war and where it came from, but at the end of the day, we're here now, and luckily we have the internet, and we're doing what men always do. We're competitively creating a hierarchy of the best ideas, and we are fixing it, and it's being fixed. I have full faith in it. I just have faith in us, to be honest. But yet, I feel like this is a part of the solution.
Right on. Big Mac in the building. He says two things can be true at the same time. There are a ton of chaotic women in America, but there are a ton of westernized men who have been raised to be partners with women versus being leaders. Well said. We also got There I Said It in the building. Says, gentlemen, this is hard for those black men to catch. This system promoted / reward out of order women. Thus chauvinist black men are needed. Shout out to Game Changer. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. All right. Good stuff.
Thing?
Huh? Oh, I forgot about the $20 win. Where we at? Boom.
I want 150,000. So we can settle out of court right now for $20.
Man, get your
Thank you for that $20 super chat, Big Mac. Appreciate you. We got Obsidian in the building. Go ahead. You got and Obsidian coming in at the close to the 3 hour mark when we damn near about to get off the air. But so who knows what's about to happen now? Go ahead, Obsidian. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling?
What's going on?
Pretty good.
Yeah. I was really impressed with what you guys were doing today, and kind of remind me of Oprah Winfrey's Super Sunday that she would do. I like it. I really like the vibe. Yeah, you made a really good point, Bernard. Now it's been months when you said that there are black women, and we can debate to what extent they exist, but there are black women out there who, for whatever reason, we can debate the reasons and how we got here. The bottom line is there are black women for whom nothing you do will have them fall in line, which I'm okay with. I'm all right with that. The problem I have with black women is that
hold on, somebody got weird background noise. I'm trying to see who is that. All right, go ahead, Obsidian.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with those type of black women, which you've described very well in the past. The problem I have with those black women is that when they get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, so to speak, when things go left, when things go bad, now all of a sudden they want to revert back to a patriarchal traditional system. Case in point. So this whole street harassment issue, the black women who are arguing that now we need the community, read black men at large, to intervene on the street, are the same black women that want to enjoy the fruits of the sexual revolution, for example. They want to be able to enjoy their bodily autonomy, my body, my choice, and so forth. I have no problem with that. But see, you can't get both. As far in Mr. Fantastic, made it he made the point so well. If I don't know you, I don't owe you. And I followed it up by saying no affection, no protection. You on your own. You wanted to be on your own, you are. Now deal. The problem I have with the black women for whom it applies is that they want to try to have it both ways. And no. If you don't, and I'm with Game Changer on this. Matter of fact, Game Changer was right to point out Sun Tzu's The Art of War. There's a very famous story that he dealt with concubines who failed to carry out his directive. My position is either you're on my program or you're not. If you're not, then you're on your own. Whatever. Sucks to be you. Hope you got enough money to get you a pistol or get you a dog or get you a bodyguard or something. I don't know you. I ain't got nothing to do with it. Now, on the other hand, the woman that is on my program, then it's my obligation to see after her. Because in my faith tradition, and I'm pretty sure the good brother Ike will know this, men are the maintainers and sustainers and protectors of women. See, I'm down with that. If she wants to come under my crest, so to speak, shout out to Brother Xavier. But if she want to do this, this mismatch hodgepodge stuff where I'm strong, independent, don't need no man, my body, my choice, I have a right to flaunt my sexuality and all the rest. Hey, no problem. You on your own. You got it. You got it. I don't like the black feminists and all these other folks trying to have it both ways with this thing. That's my problem.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Snuggles in the building with the super chat.
Hi, I'm Snuggles.
Shout out to Snuggles. Yes, can't we all just get along, or do we want to be like MOT and just let it burn? Which one would you all pick? I'm not team let it burn.
Nor am I. But
right. Go ahead.
It's a matter of recognizing friend and foe. And I think that's where a lot of confusion between Ike, True, and myself came into play. True, you are responsible for those who are under your leadership. And if we want to use the military analogy, the soldiers who obey you are responsible for that. You're not responsible for enemy soldiers. And you're not responsible for turncoats or traitors or spies or anything like that, which we have an abundance of. If you are a independent woman, then you most certainly are not responsible for a woman who has declared independence, because she is declaring independence of your leadership. She's no more responsible for. We're no more responsible for her than England is responsible for the actions of the United States. That's what independence means. We have a lot of independent soldiers, and to me, they are enemy combatants to a black patriarchy that we try to develop here in the U.S.
Interesting. Shout out to Daryl L. back at it once again. He says, "Oh man, are you going to do a remix of yesterday's show?" I'm not quite sure what he's talking about. A remix of yesterday's show, but you can.
Yeah, it was taken down because of the nature of the image that I posted, which came directly from Lizzo's Instagram and was signed off on by Dove Soap. So,
well, in fairness, hold on. In fairness to YouTube, I support them taking down that image that you put up.
Yeah,
we didn't need to see all that. I mean, it was like she had like titties, like 4 sets of titties and 2 sets of asses in the front. Like we didn't need to see that, Obsidian. So I support YouTube's decision on that one. Go ahead, carry on.
Yeah. So what I've done, because I always back up my shows over on Mixler. So I have the entire show in its entirety. And if you go over to my channel, you'll hear the first hour on YouTube that I reposted. If you go to the description box, you'll see the link to the entire Mixler show. All you got to do is click on that. You can go over and listen to it. So there you go.
Right on. Rebel Zoe 1804 says, "Why is my other Rebel Zoe 1804 channel banned? I have no idea. When I hide people, I normally, after like a week or a few days or maybe the next day, I may forget exactly why I did it. So sometimes when people request, if I don't remember why I hid you, I will unhide you. I just unhid somebody who I don't. Well, no, I actually do remember why I hid that person. I'm just giving them a second chance. But no, so you're making it known right now. I can go in and unhide it, but you probably did something to deserve it. You probably did something to deserve the Spartan kick. So
that nigga know what he did. That nigga know.
So yeah, just because I don't remember why you got Spartan kicked, I'm sure you probably did something to earn it. But thank you for the $2.
Yeah, let's go, man. I got $2 for you, man. I know I'm a little short, but you know, you can.
Appreciate it. I will check it out. Anybody else want to jump in on anything that was? Go ahead, Ike.
Yeah, I did, but go ahead, Ike. Go ahead.
No, just a quick recommendation to, just type in, people listening, regarding this topic. Type in, Bernard Riley, Ike Gammon, because we had a 4-part series, whereby we started out, and in the beginning we're talking about individual male choices, where I kind of analogized the situation to a situation whereby the sheriff is gone. There is no law and order anymore, but it's not male chaos that is released now. People are not getting their heads chopped off in the street. It's female chaos that's been released. Female chaos is harder to see. It's psychological, it's emotional. There's the goalpost shifting, all the craziness and chaos, that kind of thing, right? We understand it. Men and women, horrible people. We're horrible people, right? The thing is, we just have different facets of different ways of showing that horror, if you will. And we do need, both of us, to be checked. Men are still checked. You still have prisons, chains, and so on and so forth. Women, the warden is out of the asylum right now. Okay, there's no more a sheriff. So what do men do? And we said, number one, recognize the nature of the problem, the dire nature of the problem, the situation that is the truth, right? And then number two, you're gonna need to make choices, right? You can be like a Ramil that says, I'm gonna build this cage and I'm only going to operate through these bars with you, right? I'm going pump and dump route. Or you can be like, I'm going to move the hell out of this. I'm going to Ohio, where there's still some semblance of a sheriff there, and certain other things were given. And then we talked about, from a large perspective, a large scale, how we can reinstitute order, and that is a tall task. Okay, and I think that needs to be kind of separated. In other words, what the individual can and should do, perhaps, and then versus how you reinstitute order in a society. That is a big thing to do, because you have to bring in a community feeling. I talked about the fact that femininity needs to be respected again, because what feminism did is to denigrate femininity and said everybody should be a man now. Hey, women, go into the cubicle. Get a, that's where it's all at. Fun is really about in the W-2 and the 1099s and working in front of a desk, which is a silly thing. We all know that it's kind of crazy, but somehow everything masculine was kind of raised up as this is where really all the fun is, and men are keeping you away from the fun. Everything feminine was said, hey, that's just barefoot and pregnant, a social construct designed to keep you tied down. So we went through a four-part series, over 2 hours each time, talking about these stuff. So I'm just recommending that people go watch that if they haven't seen it. That's all.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff. Sometimes because like I said, the conversations that we had there, they were real good, and it keeps coming back as a flashpoint on this show. It's going to always keep coming back, because it's just the nature of the beast when we're talking about women. We really pin down a lot of things. So yeah, those are definitely good conversations, and you are right to recommend people back to that, because we will end up undoubtedly rehashing a lot of those points over and over again, and even me, I forget some of those points over and over again, and you have to remind me. Wait, Bernard, remember we talked about that? So yeah, but yeah, definitely good stuff. Yeah, we definitely had a good series going right there, talking about how to bring order to the chaos. But I think
I did have a question for Ike, though.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, more of a discussion rather than a question. But let me go ahead and do it. So, you did a really great presentation of what Dr. Jordan Peterson talked about with regard to big rat, little rat, right? And you went on ahead and expanded it out to include primates, and the whole point being that the top dog understands that if he doesn't have some type of equity or some type of fairness in the system, that he's in danger of being usurped by the underdog, right? And then you went on ahead and connected that to the lack of, or just outright disrespect or disregard in present day Black America among Black men of hierarchies. So I want to ask you a question, Ike, from your unique perspective as a Black American who was not born and raised here and had time to observe the native ADOS Black American community, in this particular case, Black men. Why do you think that there's such a disdain and disrespect among Black men for respect for hierarchy, respect for elders, respect for those who have achieved, and so forth among Black men? Why is that?
Okay, well, I'm gonna answer. Let me start by answering on the level of the progress of Western culture and history. Western culture, or we're not just say Western culture, there was a revolution that kind of tried to demote the status of nature in order to promote freedom and equality. Would you say that is writ large correct, Obsidian?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So African Americans are within the American context, right? You can't kind of just remove them from that. Now, there may be some particular aspects or certain maladies that are exacerbated, or, in terms of they have a bigger, if you will, manifestation in that particular community. But I think that, first of all, to talk about the umbrella of Western culture is key here. So basically, it's this. In nature, when you're pursuing ends in nature, when you go out there and you're stoically hunting, or you understand that a man has a particular role based on his nature, again, close to nature, whether it be through cultural evolution or natural evolution, but all that kind of stuff that's close to nature, close to tradition, if you will, that stuff was undermined for a political project which perhaps had good reasons. Let's take over the priest and the kings, and let's institute a certain kind of order where there's freedom for commerce. Let's also elevate freedom over nature, okay? And let's talk about equality. So nature is opposed to freedom. There is no real kind of freedom. Nature is, by definition, that which constricts. For something to have a nature, it means that A is A is not B, right? It has a nature. A man is not a woman, so on and so forth, right? So we understand that now, when we're in the postmodernist phase of this particular movement, we're now in that place where it's like, well, everything is everything, and it doesn't really matter, and roles and hierarchy and so on and so forth, it's all social constructs. So the first point I'm making here is that African-American men are just taking that page out of that leaf of the Western project, a political project of which people don't understand the trade-offs. As I said, there may be there are good reasons why you want to embark upon that political project. But if you forget that you're actually still living in this universe and that nature matters, then you've lost the point. But I will leave it there, because going deeper into, let's say, the specifics of the community, into, let's say, we want to talk about single motherhood and people not having good male role models and so on and so forth, which is another aspect. But I will start at this point in terms of Western civilization, the project to elevate freedom and equality over nature has led us to this point whereby hierarchy and all those other things and roles and so on and so forth, which are natural, are denigrated.
Can I speak to the topic?
Yeah. I have another question, but I'll let the fellas go around first, and then I'll pose another question. Go ahead.
Bernard, real quick, did you see the back chat?
The what?
The back chat of the streaming? I just want to ask you something.
Yeah. Who had a question? I mean, somebody else was trying to speak. I couldn't hear.
I'm sorry, that was me.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think it also comes to the fact that we don't have political or male organizations. I remember in the 70s we had the Black Panthers, but that was a male organization. A lot of people don't understand is that there was leadership from the top in the Panther organization, Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seale. These are black men. There were women also in the organization, but they all worked together in that type of thing. You don't see that now. The male organizations that we see are gang culture. We can't organize around those things. And then when you talk about the Million Man March, that was a highly dominantly male organization. Now, did we take that on? Did we push that male dominant theme? No, we kind of just said, hey, that was a good time. That was a good message. But we never pushed and made that go further than to influence the society. And I think today is most important that we put male dominant ideologies in the forefront. That's the only way that you can truly get change. You can't have a woman organization lifting up the community. You have to have a male forefront organization that can truly push the ideologies that are necessary for survival in the black community. Or else you'll like right now, you can even look at the black church. If you don't have a male pastor, how what does that look like? Are you willing to go to that church?
Facts.
Right.
I love that you brought that up. I love that you brought that up because that is such a strong component of it, that there has just been this break of the black male leadership presence, not when it comes to like you said, game culture and other things, like, or even money and stuff. There's not the reason why I think Jordan Peterson blew up, and he even says it, is because there's more to life than pussy and money, right? And the men are the pioneers of that, the meaning, the philosophy, the why, right? And when you don't have a why, you end up becoming a nihilist, you end up becoming depressed, you end up losing motivation. We all see the glittering gold, but that doesn't stir everyone's soul. And it's a man's job to inspire. And it's like the inspiration's been gone. The leadership in the community, when it comes down to it, it all has just been very materialistic, very simple, and it doesn't inspire enough. But then when you start to talk about something meaningful and the role that a male has in society, that inspires. And so I think that's part of why you haven't seen that same level of commitment from the male community or from the male participation in the community as far as like politics goes, civics, group events, etc. Like you don't see that as much anymore. To what you were saying, like, because MLK, that kind of stuff, like nowadays that space is dominated by, I'm going to be rude,
fat lesbians. So
yep.
Obsidian, before you say the next thing you were gonna say, I just wanted to kind of put a qualifier, or not a qualifier, just add to what I said. You know, basically what I said before was freedom and equality kind of overthrowing nature. And in other words, the answer is nature. You need more jungle. You almost need like that tough times, you know, trope. Tough times create weak men, blah blah blah. We all know how that goes, right? You need some jungle in your face. Maybe you need some chaos. Maybe I'm not gonna say what I was about to say, but in addition to that, there is the aspect of the fact that women in the West do not need, the word there is need, men anymore. For the lower needs, which, protection provision, I need food, water, I need shelter, so on and so forth. I need to secure this man so that, blah, 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 take care of my babies, and I'm vulnerable. They don't need that anymore, okay? Men are doing that, but it's the policeman, the firefighter, the soldier. It's been outsourced. The mechanisms of the government filter these benefits to them so that they don't need this individual man, and they don't see the individual man anymore because they don't see it directly coming from that guy. You know what I mean? It's the men are still doing it. Don't get it wrong. No, it's not like women are out there protecting and providing. Not really. Okay, it's that the men that are doing it are like 7 layers removed. Okay, you don't have to see them. So this is another aspect. Okay, which makes it such that since the women don't need the men now don't also see themselves as being useful. And again, to your point, that's why I brought this up, Obsidian. That is why men don't understand that nature aspect. Hence, they're not looking into the hierarchy, and they don't understand that kind of, oh, well, I'm the top dog, but I have to, the male politics, in other words. This is another aspect of it.
Well, like I said, you have to have
Well, wait, Obsidian, did you want to respond to that? Because Ike was more or less addressing you directly. I don't know if Obsidian wanted to respond to that one. Give him first go at it if he wanted to. And I already taken a nap. All right, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Like I said, you have to have a designed forward motion on black male thought. You cannot say I understand I respect where you're coming from, but what I'm saying is that if you do not have the black male looking towards something as a design, whether it's black fraternities, whether it's black police fraternities, black unions, if you do not have a designed course of manner, it is going to be hard for you to ever get the results that are necessary. So that's kind of what I see as truly what affects us greatly, is because even if I'm doing my job, if I'm in my purpose, if I don't have other like-minded individuals with like-minded standards, then how am I going to make the most impact other than me being the individual? You get what I'm saying? We have to put our ideologies in the forefront and come together as men and say, hey, this is how we're going to act. This is what's good. This is what's bad. And
how y'all doing today?
Hey,
what the hell?
Black, you were saying?
But like I said, if we are not organizing ourselves and putting ourselves in a position to where African Americans are looking towards the black man and seeing that their skills can be replicated and are positive towards the growth of our community, it's not going to happen. We have to sit here and take our role, and then not only that, join other brotherhoods, but then not only join up, but design a system for other future generations to follow. If you're just doing it willy-nilly and just going all off, hey, we were just surviving, that doesn't work. We have to put down usually in paper, usually in action, and usually in a social front, because that was what the Black Panthers was about, was essentially designing how to survive in a community while we change this retroactively.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
We're putting on an afro to show political stance. We're putting on these leather jackets to show male dominance. Or dominance. We're putting on these flavors. So even if we don't have you in our classes or in our sessions, you can at least replicate them.
What you're talking about is
hold on real quick. I like how he talked about the clothes and all that. You talked about that when you were talking about me and you did our series. You were talking about that too, like the importance of the garb that they wore, that said something. They defined what it means when we dress like this, when we wear this, and then anybody walking around wearing that, it says, this is what I stand for, this is what I'm about. So get the fuck out the way when you see me coming. It's almost like it gave off that attitude, that vibe, or what they were trying to say. Sincere cracking up. He was trying to get in for a while. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Yes. How y'all brothers doing today?
Doing good.
I just wanted to make a rebuttal to everybody on the panel. So, what do you guys feel that could be the change to what's going on in the society with black single mothers and the black males?
You said you had a rebuttal.
That's not really rebutting, but I mean, nevertheless, the change would be getting me a sandwich. The change would be, change your dress size to something more pleasing to me. There's a lot of changes that they can do to,
All right. What was your rebuttal that you spoke to?
I think he just had a question.
I think he just had a question, like, what do we do? Not necessarily rebuttal, but I think he had a question like, what do we do about the black single mothers? And that is, if you have a baby with somebody, get him a sandwich till he dies. Like that's your duty.
I'm gonna have to invoke the MOT, slightly kind of let it burn type stuff. Now, before I answer that question, it's like I almost don't feel like I have a place to be answering the question anyways. I know Obsidian over here and came up and introduced me as a honorary African American or something like that.
Hey, I've said before, when you've You've been here. I think you said you came here at 18 or
yeah.
somewhere. So you've been here over 20 years. I tend to.
Yeah, you are an African American. You're just a matter of fact. I know you're probably familiar with it. It was an excellent book came out a decade ago by Washington Post and MSNBC talking head, Pulitzer Prize winning journalist Eugene Robinson wrote a book called Disintegration, the Splintering of Black America. And in the book, he talks about how you are a member of the emergent. That is to say, Black folks who are not immigrants, who voluntarily came to the United States from Africa and the Caribbean, and or their children are a new emerging class of Black Americans. So I definitely regard you as a brother, but just a brother of a different type.
Well, I please don't answer this for your own sake, but I will say that I have I have West African people in my life, and many would say that it's arrogant to think that it's honorary to be classified as a African American. And I know that as African Americans, we have that tendency, but and once again, please don't, this is not Ike specific, but some would say that what makes you think I want that honor? And we do that a lot, not really considering that, maybe they don't consider it an honor and maybe they just kind of like the distinction in being what they are.
Yeah, but we're American, so we're better.
Well, it's kind of like when we give people an honorary black card. Like, why do we assume that somebody wants that crap?
That's a fair point. To the question from sincerely something, MOT, okay, let it burn aspect. Passport aspect, I said go where you're treated best aspect, whether it actually means going to a particular person or getting the hell out of here, okay? That is from an individual standpoint, that is my answer, which is you're not going to sit around. Yes, we can talk about the plan, and I completely agree with E Black, and we did, Bernard and I, have that 4-part series where we went deep into the plan. We talk about the clothes, we talk about the food, we talk about possibilities of making it economic, whereby you can actually make money doing it. You need a couple of billionaires, just like George Soros is funding certain things. You need some other people to fund certain other things, and there need to be incentives in place for that to happen, blah, 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 right? However, for the individual, get the hell out of there. Like, no, you should not be wasting your time as a man dealing with unruly, chaotic people, period.
Yeah. Or understand that even if you are dealing among the natives, that is probably a smaller percentage of them that that will be on board with what you got going on. But understand that you're if not full blown trying to find needles in a haystack, it may very well be a similar task to find that in a place where female chaos is practically unchecked and enabled by the larger society.
Can I speak to the African American topic?
Yes.
Okay. The reason why I think a lot of people get confused with that, like I've always said, saying I'm Black doesn't give me historical context in any society. There's Black people across the world, but I cannot tell you one thing that a Black person has ever done. I can only tell you what descendants of Africans have done. We've conquered a lot of things. So when I say I'm African American, I take that proudly because I know that I descended from a country through harsh realities, and I've created many of things. So I can understand maybe why an immigrant of Africa or descendant of Africa may reject that term, but as a 5th, 6th generational person who's been here and I cannot trace myself back to a particular country or a tribe, I take it as a badge of honor to say that I'm still here. And nothing in this world will take that away from me. So I can't say I know I put myself as Black, but it's a play on words, but I am an African American or African in America. So I have a history. I have children who are going to have history, and I have grandparents who've done through things. So we have to kind of like be careful with these verbiages because we're not going back to Negro.
I don't mind Negro.
You like Negro?
You don't mind Negro?
No, I don't. I mean, it wasn't intended to be what it is today, but I mean, it's basically Latin for black. But
Yeah.
you know, it's not really meant to be derogatory. However, we spent so much of our history in a subjugated state that it became that. But you know, if you just go back to
It
what,
doesn't bother me either. I don't care.
yeah,
I actually do, because you're taking away all my historical context.
well, okay. I mean, but I mean, there's Caucasoid and then there's Mongoloid. I mean, you're basically just dividing it into two. I mean, you're taking away the individual, and that's why people frown when I use the word Oriental. Like, you know, you want to be as precise as possible, and I get it. It's a very general thing. It's a very general thing because it, you know, includes everybody in the Black diaspora. But do I mind that if somebody is talking about the Black diaspora? No.
All right. We are closing in on the 3 hour and 30-minute mark. This was a excellent Sunday assembly that we put together here. Liked everybody that came up on the panel. Good conversation. We're gonna pass it to Ike to get the final words here to put a bow on this, and then we're gonna get up on out of here.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Am I not muted? I am not muted. I'm not.
No,
muted.
you're not muted. We can hear you.
Well, this was a very, as you mentioned already, I think this was a very good conversation. We, as usual, started out and then we meandered. And then we passed the obligatory toll road of talking about women. That has to, you know,
we gotta meet the quota. Okay, we got that ain't going nowhere. We will talk about women.
So, but if I were to just kind of bring it back to just a quick summary on what the topic was today, which is basically we talking about high value haters and also forming habits, good habits. Okay, so the high value thing is this. Okay, in order to pursue anything in life, life is such that you need to go ahead towards some particular end. In order to pursue a particular end, you need a hierarchy. First of all, you've already picked that thing amongst a selection of things as to be that thing that you're going to pursue. And then there are better and worse ways of pursuing things. Hence, you have a hierarchy of means and you have a hierarchy of skills and people and so on and so forth. Especially with men, given the kinds of ends that we pursue, which tends to be the domination of the external world, it's very clear. There are better ways of hunting. There's a better hunter. He's a better warrior. There is no kind of, oh, but what if, you know, what's going on in his heart kind of crap. So, and then that's number one thing. And then number two thing is that there are many different kinds of ends to pursue. There is the warrior prince class pursuing their stuff. There is the sage, priest, wisdom type class. Okay, then there is the merchant class. Hence, don't make the category mistake and don't do things such as bring up happiness when people are talking about money. And don't do that thing about not wanting to be accountable. Hence, you want to bring up immeasurable things about how good you are in your heart when people talk about measurable attributes of a particular class of people, let's say the merchants, and you say, well, high value man, it means you make this much more money, blah, 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 blah. And then we also mentioned that inherent, implicit in the external attributes that Kevin Samuels listed out of a high value man are the virtues required for the pursuit of that. Okay, you're not going to make that amount of money and make it for a certain amount of time and also have and be useful to the community and all those other things that he listed out if you are a piece of crap. And then we went into the whole thing about habits. And the first thing I wanted to mention with regards to that is that you need to pay attention. Pay attention to the thing that you wish to change. Okay, go look at the scale. We said that, hey, let's use this intuition pump. We noticed that when you are not the weight you need to be, all of a sudden you're not looking at the scale. When you're broke, you're not looking at a budget. When your credit is bad, you're not looking at a credit. There's a correlation between attention not being paid and improvement not being made. So all you need to do is use this very fantastic machinery you have, which is your entire subconscious being, and just point it in the direction it needs to go. Simply meaning pick up that scale and stand on it. Make that spreadsheet with that budget and look at it. Go and look at your credit score. That's all you got to do. Just look. And then when it comes to habits, we talked about certain other things that have to do with taking the professional stance, understanding that resistance will always be there. Make friends with it. It'll always be there. Okay. So again, high value, ends worth pursuing, many different kinds of ends, and in order to do them and improve, you simply have to be a non-micromanaging CEO and simply point the being. All you got to do is pay attention. Once you start measuring things, the management and the improvement tends to happen automatically.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, Ike's channel is in the chat. Y'all can go sub to Ike if you haven't done it already. I see it right there on the screen by Utopia. I'm posting the link. Dane Christopher is posting the link. Everybody's posting the link. Make sure you go sub to Ike if you haven't already. It's a wealth of information over there. So shout out to Ike for that. Thank you for delivering the goods once again. And to everybody who participated in the show today, if you like, share, subscribe, super chat it, cash app, however you participated, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank Game Changer, E Black. Welcome. Keep coming back, man. Keep coming back. I like your perspective, Truth, Obsidian, everybody who's on the panel had a great discussion today. And with that said, we are out of here. Peace.